Hey everyone, welcome. Call the meeting to order at 10 o'clock. I'll do the land acknowledgement. It is recommended, right, wrong paragraph. Peace River School Division respectfully acknowledges that the land on which we gather is located within the Treaty 8 territory, a traditional meeting ground and home of the ancestral First People, the Cree and Dene, as well as the Métis. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and for those who have gone before us. We recognize the land as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on or visit. Okay, we will go through the consent agenda. Let me know if there's anything you want pulled. 2.1.1 is the minutes from the regular board meeting on May 21st. 2.1.2 is the minutes of the special board meeting on June 12th. 2.2 substantive motions. 2.3.1 is the board report under finances. 2.4 standing committee reports, there are none. 2.5.1 is the Red Earth Creek School Council April 16th. 2.5.2 is the EDO School Council minutes from tonight. 2.6 superintendent report. 2.7 correspondence. 2.7.1 assurance letter from Alberta Education and Childcare. 2.7.2.
Can I pull that one, please?
Letter from Mr. Ladies on Collegiate School. 2.7.3 letter from the Minister on the Dixonville property. And 2.7.4 letter that we wrote to Clear Hills County on June 3rd. Okay, can I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda with 2.7.2? Marie makes that motion. All in favor? We are 6. Okay, moving down to strategic. 4.1 approval to carry out business over the summer. 4.2 Peace River Jupa. We'll move down to 5.1 quarterly financial report. 5.2 privacy management plan. 5.3 former Dixonville school property. And 5.3.1 resolution funds from the sale of the former Dixonville school. 5.4 Red Earth Creek follow-up. 5.5 updated education plan. Year 3. We have no delegations, no departmental presentations, and no standing committee agenda items. 6.1 we will go in camera. We will a few items for sure to go over in camera. 6.2 policy development and review. 6.2.1 we'll have a little conversation about policy 10. And 6.3.1 ASBA, 6.3.2 ASBAA, and 6.3.3 roll comments. And then we will go over the board work plan and trustee calendar. Can I have a motion to approve that? David makes that motion. All in favor? We are 6. Okay, let's go to 4.1 approval to carry out business over the summer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this would be a relatively standard piece of work here, whereby we are just seeking your permission to have a motion to allow us to carry out important business over the summer without the need to necessarily pull the board back together and be in a situation whereby we wouldn't have perhaps not have a quorum and that kind of thing. So the memo just simply highlights the rationale for that and then makes a recommendation that you would pass a motion to allow us to carry out business, knowing that any actions that result from this motion, in other words, any significant work that's done over the summer, would be brought back to the board table in August with a full report on that. Rhonda, would you like to add other pieces to that, please?
Normally we don't have anything that comes in over the summer that would warrant board approval, but this year I do expect that there will be one item for sure that will be the Grimshaw Public portable The tenders came in and they were all over budget. We haven't since gotten approval, but the paperwork isn't done, so I didn't have it ready to bring it to the board table because we needed approval from Alberta Education and Child Care to go ahead with the over budget amount of the tender that came in. So that will happen over the summer, and I'll bring that information to the board table in August. We just want to get it done as quick as we can.
Does anyone have any questions, comments?
What is the max that over the summer that you guys can approve without the?
We have authority. We have authority to approve up to $250,000 for work, and then this tender will be over that. It's over 300,000. So.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
So a motion to authorize the superintendent to carry out business of the board over the summer.
Yeah.
Yep. That's gonna be just. Okay. Okay, all in favor? We are 6.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'm moving on to 4.2, the Peace River Depot.
So, as you know, we've been doing work with various municipalities around either developing new or tweaking existing JUPAs. And the latest work we've done is with the town of Peace River. And I attended one meeting a little while back. I think, Lacey, you attended a meeting. Wanda, maybe you might have been there as well, and Rhonda, with a group of other partners from the other school jurisdiction and community representatives. And in the agenda today is the latest update. And by the way, the Francophone board was also represented there. So all the school boards in the area were represented there. And in the agenda is the latest piece of work that they've done. And they're looking, and I'm going to turn it to Rhonda here now, but I think they're looking to have potentially get board sign off from each of the school boards so they can move forward and meet their deadline as well. Rhonda, can you also in this speak to the jurisdictional piece around JUPAs and like who's ultimately the legislation that this is anchored in and so on?
Sure. This started in the Municipal Act when there was a significant revision to that act back probably 4 or 5 years ago now. That's where joint use planning agreements were being formally enforced in the Municipal Act. Subsequently, it's been added to the Education Act saying that we are responsible to have those agreements in place. We've signed off on most of the agreements that we need in our division. There are still some outstanding, but people are working on those. All of the templates come from the municipal side. So this is municipality driven. And the Peace River JUPA is probably one of the most complex because there's so many partners. And there was a lot of work that was done on this, and it's probably been 2.5 years now. We've been going to meetings and working on this one, and the final agreement, I think, makes a lot of sense. We tried to simplify it and streamline it a lot, and then that ended up causing more problems. So this iteration, I believe, is workable. So
Okay, does anyone have comments on this?
Madam Chair, maybe a comment to Rhonda. I guess this will make the next ones a little bit easier then, right? Having gone through, if we ever get the one that's this complex, say in a town, I don't know, maybe like Manning, where we have a couple of different school divisions, and yeah, I guess maybe we don't have any place else other than Peace River.
Yeah, and Grimshaw, we have a significant joint use agreement with Grimshaw. So that's been in place for a long time. I know there's the MD of Opportunity is working on an agreement there now. So she's been in contact, a lady's been in contact with me about that one. The village of Hines Creek asked for an extension because we are past due. So these were due June 11th. but we don't have to formally send these documents into any ministry. We just have to have them in place.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Madam Chair, so there was something at that meeting, and because it was kind of old news to me, they were talking about splitting it into two parts. In the end, did they do that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they broke out the organizational committee significantly more from the governance committee to allow for the operation of the joint use pieces that all of the individual partners have, because we all have our own assets. And then there's a couple of joint ones. So they tried to streamline it a bit, and it really wasn't working. So they did go ahead and do that.
So Madam Chair, I think the group, they're hoping that the board can sign off on this and give approval, and then I guess they'll move to the next stage of collecting the signatures of all the parties. And, you know, over time, when committees meet, there's always going to be an opportunity to review the agreement and make any adjustments as needed. Which is, I mean, that's happened at for the Rim Shop Public one, which is probably our more complex one for sure, pretty significant one. Last year, we went through a process of doing a substantial overhaul of that. Not even sure that's finalized yet, but it's in the works for sure.
It's in the works.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So, with this joint use agreement or these joint use agreements, who do you guys have to, have those with? Just with Grimshaw? Or all the communities where we have children, or what?
In the Municipality Act, it's required that any municipality that has a school in their boundaries, there's a JUPA, joint use and planning agreement with the school division.
Okay. Which is a little different than counties and whatnot, it's who you border.
Yeah, so anywhere that we have a school in the jurisdiction, that's who we have to have that agreement with.
So there's quite a few.
There's quite a few. Yeah.
Any other conversation? So we would need a motion to approve this as presented.
Also moved.
All in favor? We are 6.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Now go into 5.1 quarterly reports.
Yeah, so again, this is, we decided, the board decided a while back that having quarterly reports would be good, and I think we would satisfy the need to make sure we have checks and balances in place with regards to expenditures and whether or not we're on target and what the variances are and why there might be significant discrepancies in anticipated expenditures versus the amount of expenditures, either lower or higher. We've also been into the practice as well of including in monthly agendas the monthly reports that are required elements to reporting practices to Alberta Education. Some months our board meetings are not in sync with that, i.e. we come to a meeting and the report is not quite ready. But this is more of the stable reporting that we will have quarterly reports throughout the year, and this is another such report. So I'm going to ask Rhonda to just speak to this and highlight any pieces that she would want to highlight, and of course, the Madam Chair, for you or the other trustees to have any questions or make any comments regarding concerns about it. Thank you.
So at this point in time, we have a surplus of $2.5 million. That number is a little bit deceiving because there are still payments coming out for the teacher strike, teacher pay for the strike that the government is recalling. And there are also several programs that at the end of the year, if we haven't spent the money, we have to defer that revenue to next year. So we get lots of money. One example would be the classroom complexity team. So we received $300,000 for that. However much money we haven't spent by the end of this year gets deferred next year to pay for that complexity team for all of next year. So there will be several things that will be deferred if we haven't spent all the money, and we have to report on those grants at the end of the year as well. And we have a plan on how that funding is going to be used. The way it's looking right now, I think we might end up with a little bit of a surplus this year. We also have the sale of the Dixonville school property, which will show up in the financial statements. Again, the money we receive for that sale goes directly into capital surplus as required by the Act. Most of the expenses, no real big surprises anywhere that have come up this year. Overall, we're not far off from what we've been budgeting. You all have the memo that was done. There's no real big surprises. We've made some savings on some places like the professional fees. We've been trying really hard to be very strategic about funding so that we have money for classrooms if that's where it's needed. So I'll take any questions that you all have from the memo that was done.
And Madam Chair, I'll just make one other comment as you position yourselves for questions or comments. Ideally, as an organization, like we try to be in a situation, obviously we can't be in a situation where we have a significant deficit. We have to present a balanced budget that gets approved, and then we have to stay within that budget, barring some substantial unforeseen expenditures. And if they occur at a certain point in the year, it gives us a bit of time to redirect some funding perhaps, right? So that we can maintain a balanced budget. We also don't want to be having very substantial surpluses. We have talked about the need to have a little bit more money in reserve in the event that there's a cash flow issue so that we can make payroll. But after that, we try to find the balance whereby the budget that we get each year is spent each year on the children that are in the system for whom we have to provide services. So the time when you would have, say, perhaps really healthy surpluses, that's not where we are anymore. Like, it's always going to be fine, but it's very hard to predict exactly to the penny. And there's always going to be a small percentage whereby we're seeing a little more of a surplus than we had anticipated. Sometimes the surplus arises because we couldn't fill a vacant teaching position that we had allocated for. So we have to budget for it, but the year goes by and we couldn't find the two teachers. Well, that is a savings of $200,000 plus that we didn't anticipate, and neither did we desire, but we just couldn't find a person. And other times there are people who leave the organization partway through the year in a bit of a surprise move, perhaps, or we knew about it and then we couldn't recruit. So there's several reasons why we end up having surpluses. Sometimes our later plan doesn't get executed in the way that we had hoped for some of the reasons I've just shared. And so, again, we will work hard to ensure that our budget spends the money at the classroom level that we have set out to do, recognizing that sometimes that is not achievable because of factors out of our control.
Just a question on that part about the government recalling money in the teacher strike. What does that mean?
While the teachers were on strike because we weren't paying their salary, they're clawing that money back.
And Madam Chair, on that note, as you recall, we had a conversation at this table in a previous meeting that there was a discrepancy in what we felt should be clawed back versus what government officials said they were going to claw back. So there's been a lot of back and forth on that, us sharing our records to substantiate the claims we were making. And in the end, a decision was made, and I'm not sure that it actually was fully aligned with what we were saying. In fact, I don't think it was. So I believe we are in a situation where government's calculations resulted in a decision to call back more money than we felt should have been called back. But we had some opportunity to push back on that and provide some evidence, and some adjustments probably were made, but not as many as we had hoped. So that was an issue for us as well.
Can I ask about the trustee gala? So that was long service awards. So, but we have switched that to school-based, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so are we paying for, like, if schools do the school-based, at what point do we pay for that or?
So there's two parts. I'll just talk a little bit. So there's still the award amount that all of the employees get, right? And then there's the school-based part. So two parts to that. And I'll just
Yeah, and the second part to that, last year, when we made the shift last year, we also gave a provisional amount of funding for schools to help offset any school-based cost. And we were pretty articulate in that we said, hey, this wasn't about shifting the gala, a large gathering or a gathering that it was intended to be larger, to each school so that each school could then each have a mini gala. It was shifting away from the gala concept altogether and having an opportunity whereby teammates who worked together shoulder to shoulder for years could have a day during the year that they felt was a good day, either on-site or off-site, where they could celebrate each other. So Wanda Lauren is receiving a 20-year award. Well, you know, everybody congratulates Wanda. Somebody who knows Wanda really well might make pass on some commentary about as a humorous thing and so on. So we wanted to resist this notion that we were now shifting the responsibility of the big gala to individual galas throughout the organization, but a little more, I think the phrasing was more low key, but nonetheless valuable and celebratory nonetheless. So we put a funding model in place of matching funds, and we tweaked it this year and enhanced it a bit. That would be more helpful to small schools. And it goes something like this. We will give a base amount of $50 per school, and then $5 for every individual in the school. So if 3 people are sharing one position, we count them as 3. If they're, we're 0.3 each, and an extra $20 for any retiring people. And so that amounts to a certain amount of money, and that's the matching fund. So and some schools are getting about $450, let's say 410 or 20 is the highest amount. So they can spend $820, let's say, and we'll give half back. So it's matching funds. If they spend $1,000, we will still give our maximum amount. So in the end, it is more cost effective for us, when I say us, for the organization. On a lot of levels, not only the cost of the gala, but the cost of the time and effort that went into trying to find luggage sets that would be of value of $300 or whatever, and all that stuff. So we tried to simplify it, but make it a more valuable experience. And I know the ones I've attended, I was at PSI on Monday, where they brought in, they had all of the teaching staff there. Some substitute teachers who spent a lot of time there, and they're like considered like staff, and it was a really good day. About 40 people there, and they shared the celebration pieces. A couple of little stories about the retiring. One of our retirees was back there, Sue Miller. She came back and joined in, and it was a really nice opportunity. The value in it is that people have the opportunity to experience it that they would never experience because they would never go to a gallery, right? So we shifted the money. It's a little less costly for us money-wise, so more efficient that way, but also hugely efficient from a time perspective. So we do continue to support these celebrations. And Rhonda already mentioned that we have a funding amount as well, and we shifted it all to cash. And just as a reminder to everybody, when we shifted it to cash, there was some feedback that, well, when people get cash, that's taxable. So if it's a $50 award taxable, that might amount to be, say, $42. So we actually increased the cash amount to help offset the tax implications. So the value of the award, what was a $25 award became a $30, what was a $45 award became a $50. It's actually different than that, but to make the point. So we increased it by about 20%, which would reflect the financial people's assessment of what the tax implication would be, so that in the end they get the cash value. And some people used to want to volunteer, donate their prize to somebody else or some other group or organization. We've said they can continue to do that, and of course they get the added value piece of when they make the donation, they can use that as a tax for their tax returns. So I think after the first year, like this year, I'm not hearing any complaints from any schools. Last year, we had some feedback from a couple of schools, one in particular, and I understand why, because they had 4 retirees that year. And so it was a big year. And but this year, I don't know if any other members of the team have heard anything negative.
I'm not negative, just a note about principals. Like the principals are being
Yes,
recognized?
yes, thank you. Yeah, so in situations where, in some instances, we have situations where the only person getting the award is the principal. So moving forward here, we only need to continue to tighten up on that because the principal won't want to necessarily put an event up for themselves. So we'll have to intervene to make sure that something does get done. And so one of the things we'll do as well, we're tightening up, the processes, that we have internally to make sure that we have somebody from the division level attending every event, and we're spreading it out to the entire team. And we'll be mindful in the spring, like we're tightening that piece up that, if, the principal of a particular school is the only one receiving an award, we'll reach out to the vice principal if there's one there, or somebody else to say, hey, what's happening? Do we need to help out to plan something?
Madam Chair, just a couple of comments, and to follow up on that one, I went to the one for Fairview High School, which they had down at the Maples. It's down by the Dunvegan Bridge. It's a picnic park. The only people, there were 3 people being recognized. One of them wasn't there. The other 2 were the principal and the vice principal. But one of their staff members took it on and did a fantastic job. Did a really, really good job of it. And I guess the other thing, because I was on the board when the gala was made no longer, part of that was definitely financial. But I think having worked in this building from about middle of January till the gala happened, there was a half a dozen people working on gala all the time. It was just that much work to actually to make it happen. And I really liked the last 2 years. The ones I've gone to, it's nice. It's more homey. It's,
You actually get to hear the staff.
Yeah, it gets much more personal.
Yeah,
And, it's
there's
in a good kind
There's
of way.
laughing, there's crying, there's.
Yeah.
Well, I don't recall ever at a gala. Well, yeah, actually one person got up and kind of did the bio that you kind of sent them your bio.
Yeah.
Whereas I went to the Springfield one for Gil, and that was very cute.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just got up and
Yep, British tea.
and it
There was an
was,
afternoon of British tea. wasn't
yeah,
there?
that's right.
I was there. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
there.
it was very nice. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Maybe, because obviously our school, like we're the July, August expenses are. Yeah, explain how most people get paid throughout it.
Sure.
Just because we're new.
So when you look at the monthly reports that are on, like Jeff said, sometimes if the board meeting is early in the month, we have to have our financials, the monthly financials done by the 15th for Alberta Education. So if a board meeting happens to be early, I won't be able to attach that month. But for the most part, every month there's a financial report attached. And you can see that the salary numbers and the benefit numbers seem to vary significantly, especially in the beginning of the year. So September, October, November, and December, you'll see that the benefits will be lower, significantly lower than the budget amount, and especially for certificated staff. And that's because by about May, for those certificated teachers, they've paid all of their EI and CPP, and they don't have those deductions for the rest of the year. So that throws the numbers off. It's a timing difference, and then it starts to reverse in January when they start paying again. In the uncertificated staff, there's usually an overage in the uncertificated staff because the school support staff get paid over 10 months and the bus drivers get paid over 10 months. So from September till June, they're getting paid, but in July and August, they're not. And so then it flips and gets back in line. Most of the school costs happen September to June. So a lot of the contracts and supplies and professional fees and all of those kinds of expenses happen during the actual school year and not the fiscal year. So you'll see front ending by September, we've paid for the majority of our contracts for software. We've paid for a lot of the contracts that we have that go for the entire year. In November, we're paying for insurance for the entire year. So those numbers, it looks like we've gone over budget in the beginning of the year, and it catches up by the end of the year and it levels out. So that's where the timing of some of those expenditures are off, and they come around by July and August when we're finishing up, the school year's finished. And maintenance will have more expenditures in the summer months because they're doing more work in the schools. So a lot of it is timing. These financials are very much cash based. So when we're paying for things, not when the actual expense is incurred. So that's why you see some big fluctuations during the year in the statements.
Can I ask, what is our year end March? Oh,
Our year end is August 31st. So the government year end is March, and at the end of March, we do a report for the government. It's called the government reporting entity. They have to consolidate all of the school divisions in with their financial statements for their year end. So we do a mini year end in March, and then our regular year end is August.
Anyone else? Do we have to motion to receive that information? Or
You can, it's probably a good idea to do that.
Edith makes that motion. All in favor? We are 6. Okay, this one looks fun. Privacy management plan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in your package there's a briefing memo regarding a new requirement to shift from, I guess, the former FOIP legislation to the new HOPA legislation. There was a requirement to make that shift and to be compliant by last week, June the 11th.
Yeah.
So that, along with many other things, has kept us busy on multiple fronts this year. Lots of legislative changes that have required us at the systems level to do some significant work to make sure that on your behalf, the board itself is in compliance, and from an operations perspective as well. So I'll ask Rhonda to just do a deeper dive on that, and we'll answer any questions that anybody might have.
So this is a result of the new POPA and ATI legislation replacing FOIP, so access to information and privacy of personal information. And this document is a living document, and you'll see PMP is the abbreviation for this, the acronym, but it'll be referred to as a privacy management plan or a privacy management program. This is a living document that outlines all of the requirements of the new legislation. There are additional pieces that will be added to this. I'm not an expert in this area. I've been doing a lot of work to be aware of what the requirements are. I just got back from my ASBOIL conference, and we did a session talking about this plan as well. There's a lot of unknowns because this is so new, but we have done a lot of work. We've sent our document is going for approval. We're working with a company that a lot of school divisions are working with to make sure that we have all the pieces that we need. So this document does affect a significant amount of our administrative procedures. It will also affect policy. So we'll have to have conversations about the policy portion. And included in here is how we're going to do training. We're still working on that for the fall, how we're going to implement training. There is a requirement for PIAs or privacy impact assessments before we use new pieces of software. And it's a very significant document. So as the Board of Trustees, you need to be aware of this requirement. There's a requirement for us to have budget, line item budget amount to have somebody taking care of this program. And we do have that. I don't want to go into a lot of detail about this, but there will be training in the fall that all of the trustees, all of the volunteers in schools, all of the employees, all of the vendors that we work with, we'll have to know what our requirements are. So that will be coming. It's not huge training. You won't have a full week of privacy training.
Hope not.
Yeah.
But
Like
just-
all volunteers and stuff?
all of the volunteers in the schools, yes. We're working on that part.
Okay.
So there's a lot of moving pieces and really, we're doing everything that we can to show that we're meeting the requirements of the regulation, the new legislation within our ability to do so as Peace River School Division with less than 3,000 students. So, it's a challenge. This is, huge. And I think until the people have had a chance to work through all of the legislation and somebody files a complaint to see how it's going to be dealt with, there's a lot of unknowns. So it's the most important part is that what we put out in procedures and policy is what we're following, because that's what we're going to be held to. So we'll do the best to make sure we're compliant, and we have outside resources that are helping us do that. And this isn't a project that now we have this document, it's done. This is now our life with the new regulation.
Madam Chair, I'm concerned that, is this going to make volunteers less likely to come? Because does it require that much more of them than the?
No.
Okay.
We're going to do our very best for the training part to not be really onerous on anybody's part. It's going to be an awareness and knowing how just the piece of this that affects you. So a volunteer in the school isn't going to have to be aware of this entire document. We will have training that will make them aware of what they're responsible for in the big piece. So it shouldn't be too onerous on, and we don't want it to be onerous on staff either. We don't. So we're going to make this training something that's relatable and not going to put people to sleep. I'm not going to stand up and read a section of the document. We'll make it something that, won't put too much pressure on anybody. And we will also put supports in place so that the administrators, because they will have to talk to it at a staff meeting, but we'll make it easy for them to talk about it at a staff meeting. So we're working to make sure that that training isn't something that, is ignored or, takes up a whole day of their time. It's not going to be anything like that.
So this takes the place of what?
Yes.
We had an incident or whatever when I was an elected official, just to tell you how deep that can go. Where a resident came in to the county and wanted information, which is public knowledge anyway, on salaries. So what the count person earned or whatever. But one counselor in particular. And anyway, afterwards, we found out that could have been a huge lawsuit by that counselor because of the reason they wanted that. So that's an important thing to remember too, when people are seeking information from your organization, is what do you intend to use it for? Is this just for your own knowledge? Because you should not be using it for anything undesirable. Yeah, and it was a lawyer that said that.
We've
That person
had
set themselves
a
up.
few FOIA requests.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be careful with them.
Yeah.
Any other? So you would need a motion to approve? Or is this-
No, this is just for information, just a conversation. So at this point, yeah, it's just so that you're all aware that we've been doing the work. My team
It was,
has been doing the
I
work.
always tried to read it, it's kind of hard. I gotta be honest, I didn't read it.
Good late night. read
Yeah,
when
good
you
late
can't sleep.
night.
You can't, so yeah.
Or during a soccer game, we're waiting for a goal.
Yeah. Next winter.
Read the whole
we're
document.
watch hockey game.
Okay, so should I move for information? No?
Can't wait to get to move on.
Okay, former Dixonville School property. Ooh,
So, Madam Chair, this is simply a motion that captures the, I guess, the legal aspect of the transfer of the property, the parcel of land and the school to Dixonville Charter School Society and the amount that's identified there. So that process is unfolding. Rhonda, can you share just exactly where that is now from a legal standpoint?
Sure. I am working with the same lawyer that did the sale of the Dixonville school property for the land transaction. We do have a sale agreement. There's some suggested changes that we're asking for. So that's sitting with infrastructure right now. I would imagine they'll make the changes in the sale agreement. It's just to protect Peace River School Division and clear any liability from hazardous materials and all of that kind of stuff. And I would imagine that that'll go through. They're anticipating a closing date of August the 6th. So that the property would be turned over at that date. I don't see that changing, so we should be good with them.
Legally turned over at that time, but Madam Chair, the Charter School Society does have access, has had access to the building.
Yeah.
In recent, early in June, they did a visit.
Yeah, so they have access, they have the school now. So the closing date has happened. June 6th was the date. The money is being held in trust until land titles clears, and then we'll get the funding. And then August 6th for the rest of the land, so they'll be able to carry on. I would imagine that infrastructure is going to demolish that teacherage probably pretty soon after they get title to that land.
And there's another item in the agenda that I think that comes from the consent agenda around that whole process as well.
we didn't pull it.
All right, so then maybe this is a good time just to
Yeah.
talk about that then.
I guess, yeah, my brain, we were talking about it on the agenda, so I didn't pull it, so let me just talk about it.
Yeah, so maybe
Sorry.
but it ties back to the letter of May 29th from the two ministers about the second parcel of land. Everybody in this room is aware of the back and forth on that parcel of land. It was our desire, as was the desire of the Dixonville Charter Society to acquire that piece of land because they envisioned it being the staging point for their outdoor learning, where they would grow crops, raise livestock or whatever. And it was not in the original parcel of land. And so then that left us and the society in an undesirable place. So what I'd like to highlight here is the power of the board in this circumstance. So a letter was written from the board chair to the ministers in March. In fact, looking at the letter of May 29th, it was March 30th that the letter was written. And there was no apparent action. The board had not seen that, was not aware that anything was happening. And then in the April meeting, the board, by way of motion, said that if there was no response to the chair's March 30th letter by the next board meeting, the May 21st board meeting, that another motion would be put to the table to proceed with the disposal of the second parcel of land. And so as the board and staff on behalf of the board were in contact with the Charter School Society just to touch base to make sure that what our desire and their desire was aligned. We then at the board, so the motion was passed. As we came to the May 21st board meeting, Rhonda received contact from somebody at Alberta Education and basically saying, hey, just so you know, the ministers are meeting tomorrow, the day of our board meeting. You proceeded with your motion. to give me direction to move forward with the disposal of land. Then right after the board meeting, there was further contact to say, hey, please don't do anything with this, putting this land up for sale because something is forthcoming. The letter of May 29th verifies that the ministries did collaborate and decided that they would take that parcel of land. So it took a bit of time. It took 2 motions of the board, plus a letter. But it just shows the power of the board when you come together and you execute your will through motions. And so through the motion, and the last motion, we had an off-ramp, remember, that I was given direction to move forward to put the land up for sale through a tender process, barring any further development at the government level. And if there was further development at the government level, then we would back off. So this is to say that we did proceed to get ready for moving the disposal of the land for sale through tender. But when this letter arrived, we suspended that. So for the record of the board's business, you gave direction to your superintendent to move forward, which we did, but we suspended that because as per your motion, there was a development that said government was interested in taking it over. So we've now since put to bed the effort to move the land for disposal. So it's a highlight moment to say, through motions of the board and letter writing, you do have influence. And it was a great example of doing that in partnership with the local entity, which is a charter society that was, desirous of having that land. So I think it's going to work out well in the end.
Any other questions or comments?
Just, Madam Chair, along the same notes, we closed the Dixonville School just about a year ago now, and we incurred I would say some significant expense over this. Are we done now? Are we done spending money and hopefully spending time on it? Right? It'll be just
Yeah.
a phase, right?
Just about, yeah, we just have to make sure that the land is, cut the grass, whatever, so that there's no noxious weeds, all the requirements of the county, just until that, August this. I think
The charter school could look at that. Huh? Would it be up to them?
infrastructure is taking care of their building for them.
Yeah, so we have no more. So they're incurring costs to have somebody probably I would imagine from the local area who is going to act as their
Yeah, there's
person
a,
who goes and make sure that everything is running and mechanically and so on.
there's a building management.
Building management
Taking care of the building.
But not the land.
Because
Because they don't have the land yet. For a lot of
well, they have the rest of the land,
With the
that other
so-
piece, but I don't know what the arrangement is there.
Is that, I mean, it's just going through the budgeting process we went through and knowing that we don't have a lot of money. It's really frustrating that we're spending money for somebody else when we could be spending it for ourselves. So I just put that out there. You don't make the decisions you're making, but it just.
So, Madam Chair, what I'll say is that we can certainly do a follow-up with the society on that. I know last year when the board closed the school, we made the decision in April to close the school. Subsequent to that, I attended an early May meeting and I was approached by a young entrepreneur in the community at the time who volunteered to do our landscaping at a fee. So, and that person is a well-known entity in town. So maybe the conversation is that, look, we'd like to pivot there and maybe the Charter Society has some funding that would allow that to proceed.
Well, I mean, we spent some significant time and some funds helping the charter school get up and hopefully be successful. It wouldn't hurt for them to take their ball now and say, you know what, we've got it.
I will say, Madam Chair, that this board, and I would like to think its staff, certainly exhibited on many occasions a collaborative partnership with the society, that we didn't become, fierce enemies. We recognize that, the circumstances unfolded the way that they did, and ultimately the focus is still on providing quality educational services for children in the region. And we would have loved to be able to do that, continue to do that, but we all know the reasons why we couldn't do it in the Dixonville school. And so if the Charter Society, becomes a successful entity, then that's good for the region. And so it was in that spirit that we continued to partner with them. So yeah, we will follow up on that piece. And yes, the sooner we can be done of any further expenses, the better for us, for sure.
But there was also the other side of that, someone might not have taken that building over it. Like, we could have been in a worse situation.
Definitely could have been if
Like,
nobody.
yes, I know
decided
we
to
spent
take
more
it.
than we would have liked,
Yeah.
but when we closed it, we were well aware there was a chance.
Yeah.
We would have had a building that. We weren't.
Yeah.
Right, so.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on that? Okay, we'll move to 5.4, Red Earth Creek follow-up.
Madam Chair.
So I guess I had asked if we could get this on the agenda, just to have another conversation, but I'll leave it to.
Yeah, so the Red Earth Creek follow-up. So there have been, as you know, I mean, the schools, unfortunately, the project has been delayed significantly on 2 occasions. And when I say significantly, we're talking first time a full year, and now at least 9 months, but in actual fact now at least another full year. So we're talking 2 substantial delays. It's still unfolding. I'm not even sure, we don't have the update yet as to whether or not they have been successful. When I say they, government officials have been successful in appointing a bridging contractor to get this project restarted. And we are now into June month. And so, hopefully they have made progress on that. I know Rhonda was in contact with the government official last week, and they said they did have bids now after a second, I think, attempt to try to get people interested. And there was a process of selecting somebody, and hopefully that process unfolds in the days ahead here. Meanwhile, there have been other conversations with at least one person from the government about follow-up to the meeting that we had here with Minister Long. The board had, and it was unfortunately a technologically challenged meeting. Not sure if it was on our end or their end. It doesn't matter that we had a shortened meeting. I think the board was able to get some important points across, and we all heard the minister say that they're committed to this school, that the 2 very best people in the department are onto this. That's their top priority, to try to give us some confidence that this project is still alive and well and will proceed. But the conversation recently, I'll just say, was around, as the board followed up with regard to a request for temporary washroom space. And this board, as a long record, from a number of years ago, made a request to address the inadequate washroom space in the school. In the last year, in particular, there's been a significant blitz on that. Once the last year's decision, once the board became aware last year that the school was being delayed by 1 year, you'll recall the board then reached out to the local MLAs for a meeting. This was like probably after the August board meeting, late September last year, 29th September, I believe. There was a meeting with MLA Williams and MLA Wheat from Grand Prairie. And at that meeting, you'll recall the board, one comment made by one of the MLAs, I do believe, was that that's really about $100,000 cost, and sort of led to believe that this might be achievable. A period of time went by before there was any response, and then the response came back that no, it wasn't going to be done. That was before the next delay, which happened in the spring. So I guess the question becomes now, given that we're going to be all of next school year, and likely well deep into the following school year. When I say deep into October, November, December, and who knows with delays, it could be January, February, March. So it's going to be at least a year and a bit, probably 18 months or more before we realize the completion of a brand new school there. Is the time right, given recent conversations, for this board to write another letter to both ministers to say, hey, just following up from our April meeting, given the delay, we'd like for a reconsideration to be given to temporary washrooms. facilities in the existing River Creek School.
Madam Chair, I'm
Absolutely.
sorry, but I thought we did discuss that in the technologically challenged meeting that we had, right? We did bring that forward.
We did, but I think we probably need to follow it up with a letter just to remind them of that conversation.
Yeah, like it's June 18th to get temporary washrooms in and get them connected to the school. We're gonna be, I mean, as long as we get it done before it freezes.
Yeah.
it's
Before it
good, but it'd be
freezes,
Nice
yeah.
to get it done for September.
Yeah.
So exactly. So it would have to become an expedited priority project to get it done by September. But even if it got action in August or late August and didn't get done until sometime in September or October,
Yeah.
that would put the school in a much better place than it's been in forever. So we just thought maybe it might be worthwhile for the board to consider writing one more letter. And if nothing else, it shows the persistence that the board has had to continue to advocate for this matter. And if they come out flat out no, then we know now. It's either now is the opportunity to potentially get something, or if it's not now, then it's not going to be ever, I don't think.
I'm willing to make that motion.
A motion to write a letter to the Minister of Education and Minister of Infrastructure.
Yeah, for the installation of,
Temporary one.
temporary washrooms at Ritter.
For our discussion on April, whatever.
Do we, include anyone else, like CC?
I think if it goes to the ministers, that's fine at this point because you've been having direct conversation with them. I know Minister Nicolaides couldn't make it to that meeting, but because if you had a direct meeting, I think that's fine.
We want to include that, or use that.
Yeah, I would think so. I think it's
Okay.
important that we include our local MLAs on that so they know that it's not been done yet.
So there will be two now, would be Minister Williams and MLA Sinclair.
Yeah,
And I did reach out to MD counselor and he didn't have any updates. He was still trying to meet.
And I suppose the other thing is, do you, so the MLAs and do you see, I guess the question is, do you also conclude the local MD
I think we do.
courtesy, yes.
Because we both said we just keep covering up.
Yeah.
So that we can take some.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate courtesy communications.
Any further questions? Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Okay, so Madam Chair, we will work on getting a draft letter for your consideration.
Okay, moving on to, take a quick break. Okay, move on to 5.5.
So, Madam Chair, this is a relatively quick piece. It's basically, you'll recall that at the May meeting, because at the time we were of the view that we would have had to submit our updated education plan by the end of May, which has always been the case. But we later received information to say we had an extension until June the 17th because of the new information about the budget, and therefore the board's budget didn't need to get approved until June 17th. So, and you can't update your education plan without the board's approved budget because there's a budget page in there. I guess you could, but you'd have to say to be further updated later. So anyway, what we presented the education plan with the updates. Cheryl took the lead in sharing the updates from the education standpoint. Of course, your Kristen took the lead in doing some work around visioning and mission statements, and those were updated as well. So you passed that education plan, updated education plan as amended, meaning that, of course, there was going to be further work done, and the commitment of the team, the administrative team, would be to bring back to the board table the further updates that you knew about, but probably you hadn't seen because they hadn't been done yet. So what you see before you now in the attachment is the updated plan. It's still 2024-2029 because you approved way back 3 years ago the 5-year plan. So now we'd be going into year 3. So we're halfway through the 5-year plan, so to speak, or not quite halfway yet. We're moving in halfway through this upcoming year. We'll be halfway through, 2.5 years in. So this is the updated plan. And so it's for your information. You'll see here on page 3, the vision and mission statements are there, which you worked on and approved in the May meeting. If you go down through, I'm not going to go through all of this, Madam Chair, but if you go down through to the performance measures for literacy, there were updates here. There were some things removed, fonts of Pennell stuff was removed, some things added, some things tweaked. For example, the RCAT, grades 7 to 12, that used to be, I think, 4 to 12. That's moved to 7 to 12, and that was with consultation with our administrators at the May meeting as well. We removed the aggregate scores for year-end report cards, school-based, because there was conversations around that, and administrators felt that that was a good thing to do. So those are the kinds of tweaks. The additional performance measures, we removed the measures between differences in achievement between on gender, male versus female. We still have the other required ones there. So on the bottom of page 5, these are required disaggregation reports that Alberta Education requires, Alberta Education Childcare, I should say. You'll see the divisional strategies here. They've been tweaked a little bit, but not a lot. Likewise, for performance measures for numeracy, we've made some adjustments and so on. And so basically, this reflects the updated plan as we said we would. And I just, Madam Chair, just turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Gascoigne now to see if there's anything else that you feel we should highlight here.
Well, not this time. Any questions or comments?
Okay, Kristen, anything on your end?
Yeah, the only pages, of course, that were significantly updated since the last one would have been the 2 budget pages, and there was an adjustment to the engagement plan page
Yes.
to better reflect what we're doing.
Yes, so if you want to just go to that, so the budget highlights page, thank you, page 12. Of course, that couldn't be put there until until the June 12th meeting last Friday, right? So that's reflective of that. And then you'll see the highlights page. The highlights page attempted to highlight the priority decisioning that went into approving the budget, and you'll just see that that's been reworked from the last time around. Talking about maintaining central operations staff to be the engines that drive the teaching and learning side of things. Talked about sustaining our focus on mental health capacity building and student success in schools as a part of the mental health pilot initiative. Talking about individualizing, program support for students, commitment to our virtual education program and alternative education, and extra infusion of money in the school level to support Indigenous student learning and Indigenous student success, and also an investment, a significant one, of educational assistance to help our work around interventions with literacy and numeracy. Of course, we've always had that as a commitment, but with recent government focus on that, it's now required. There's a requirement for us to deliberately do intervention work and to report on the success of that work, and that will become a significant piece of Assistant Superintendent Gascoigne's work with our team next year moving forward. And the last piece that we referred to, our capital plan, of course, has been updated a bit. And the plan engagement, there's a piece there that talks about student engagement. And for this year, at least, and I know this is a piece of work that the board is going to continue to discuss next year. But what we've included in this one, which was different than the last time, and the board of trustees flagged that, is that we've said that for this, the engagement piece as being a survey out to students, and pulling from that will be governance themes that the board can do further work around and advocate around. And other than that, that's the rest of it is the same. So it's a reflection of the previous conversation.
Go ahead. So on page 3, are those numbers all up to date then? The 2,900 students and the 68 bus routes, 19 schools and 575 staff?
Yes, so That page has been updated. I think the last time it was, I think it referenced 3,069 bus routes, so 68 bus routes now. So that's, all updated. And the 575 plus staff, that includes all in. And that includes part-time. So, trustee Dick and I could be sharing the same position. So that's 2 people for 1 position. So it's not 575 positions, but it's
You counted as two.
2 people. That's correct. And sometimes we have, more than that, we have a position split 3 ways because of circumstance. I can work part-time, it's more often split 2 ways, but that's everybody in.
And we have a teacher that's working 0.2 and we have EAs that like to work 0.3 or 0.4 because it fits into their schedule and it works for the school. So those are all counted as one.
Yeah, and then ideally, from a financial perspective, it's better to have somebody with 1.0 FTE because you're paying the benefits once versus 2 half times. But we're in situations sometimes where we can't find a 1.0 and that the only pathway forward is 2 half-time people just to make it work. So that those numbers are updated.
What happens if, I don't know how often it would happen, that, what if you have a bus driver that's an EA? Is that?
They're counted as one person, right? So that 575 is people, not roles.
Yeah. And we do have bus drivers that are EAs.
I know.
We have bus drivers that are, they might be half-time bus driver, 0.3 EA, 0.2 info spec, or the librarian in the school.
Yeah. So we have bus drivers that also work at central office.
Yeah.
We'll take bus drivers wherever we can get bus drivers.
So, Madam Chair, if there are no other questions about this, we present it just for information only because you already passed the motion at the last meeting of this plan as amended, and we've since amended it. And, hopefully it's the mark for us. And we go from there.
Okay, do we want to go in camera or do we want to keep going? And camera's a lot.
I think we might get
Get it done.
before
We'll just get
lunch.
everything else done and then.
Okay, your call, Madam Chair, whenever works. Maybe just get everything else done. I mean, from a staff perspective, probably, and carry on and going to in camera after lunch. And it works better that way.
Let's just. 6.2.1 policy making. So the policy committee. We've struggled with this one. So it's not attached, as you noticed, because we didn't have it where we wanted it.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'll kind of take the lead on that one. Is that we're having problems with a portion of the policy that deals with adopting the policy and what the process looks like. And I sat down in an evening, my wife says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm just finishing this policy up." And I got it, honestly, where I think it was really, really good. And I sent it off to the other committee members, which is Trustee Buchinski and Trustee Quinney, and said, "What do you think?" And then when I got here the other day for our meeting, I couldn't find it. So I talked to Lacey and she says, "Well, this is what you sent me." And what I sent to her was just something that had happened before I did any of the work on it. And I don't know where happened to all my work. So that policy, the only thing in that policy.
I was very confused.
Really needs any work is the adoption portion. And in my brain, I think I have it so that if I redo it again, it will be acceptable to the board. But we didn't have time to do it, so that'll be.
The new policy committee, whoever that is.
Yeah. So on that, Madam Chair, just for information of staff here, so that adoption process, is that the piece around first, second, third reading?
Yeah, and like how you communicate.
Yeah, and I think
how you
it was specifically.
without like being too wordy, without being too like.
Yeah, trying to have it so that it doesn't get, you don't get
Simplify,
overwhelmed.
but yet make sure it's.
So it stems from the question, Madam Chair, that Trustee Geese worked with, that made comment around, okay, yeah, around.
That wasn't good.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to be clear.
No,
because-
it was great.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear on it, Madam Chair, because at the time it was a really good point and a lot of good discussion came out of it, because it's a classic example. You read it and you interpret what you want to interpret. When if somebody with fresh eyes looks at it and says, well, hey, that might actually not say what we want to say. Now Dennis trying to find the right wording without it being too wordy, yeah. You'll get there, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
well, and
it's-
then,
it's
yeah,
there.
yeah, so that'll be top priority for the policy committee. We can. And then obviously we'll have some work on privacy management
And Bill 20.
and Bill 25.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Madam
the
Chair,
policy committee's gonna be heavy,
yeah, Madam Chair, Bill 25.
like necessity, not so much desire to, you know what I mean, like to make them
Compliant.
comply. Yeah.
Yeah, Madam Chair, on that note, I mean, yeah, Bill 25 is going to have significant impact at the governance level and operations level. And we're hearing that ASBA may take the lead and do some draft policies and administrative procedures. But it's not just Bill 25, it's some of the other direction at the government level as well that has probably it's been an unprecedented, not probably, it has been an unprecedented year. A year and a half in developing new policies and, or more so new procedures, administrative procedures to be in compliance. In fact, the board made a policy change last year, which I thought was a really smart one. And rather than develop a new policy, you said that you would hold your superintendent to account to ensure that administrative procedures are aligned with government legislation, which really takes a bit of work off your plates and puts the onus on administrative staff to make sure we do what's required. So, yeah, so it's been an interesting time, and we have a summer of work, I'd say. Recently, I think you've all been made aware of the new timelines. So there's been some adjustments in timelines as to when some of these policies and or administrative procedures have to be live. Some are pretty soon, and some have been extended a little bit. I think that came out last week sometime there. So we will work hard to make sure that the board, that the board is positioned to be in compliance, and operationally we will as well.
So are we gonna have a conversation at some time, like Bill 25 and what that means for policy and stuff? Is that something we're gonna talk about once we?
It's on my list for in camera when we go through some ASBA stuff, and then it'll probably, I'm guessing I'll have to get the policy committee probably to spearhead some of that. It's probably the best course of it, but we can have that conversation. Okay, we'll move down to 6.3. I think most of ASBA and PSBAA will be in camera. I don't think there's anything.
The PSBAA is, my report on that would be the document that I sent out to the trustees by email. I won't be reporting in the morning.
And then Rural Caucus, I sent out Chris sent out the survey, that Rhonda and her team completed extensively. There's a lot.
There's a lot, yeah.
Did anyone have any questions about it? The information is great. I just don't know how they're going to compile it. Because if they get this much from everyone, I don't, unless they're all like cookie cut, you know, more or less. Because I assume everyone's got similar issues, but I guess that's what they're going to.
Well, they have, sorry,
Yeah.
but they have compiled it.
Yeah.
And they've sent it out.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they don't want it shared, I
Oh,
think.
okay.
This is a draft report, so they're still kind of lining things up.
Okay.
And I think this draft report was probably made prior to getting hours and maybe a few more.
Oh,
But I'd say this is kind of what it looks like, but don't do anything with it, because we're still waiting, right?
I suspect, Madam Chair, what they'll do, because I think the last time there was a conversation around if it had gone out as a questionnaire, like
Yeah.
it would have been easier to analyze. I would suspect that they dumped it into some sort of artificial intelligence tool to say, hey, pull at the themes of this, and that would be at least a good draft piece. I know when they did the work around complexity in schools, and all school divisions had put in a huge amount of information last spring. And in short order, a report came out. That's what they used. They threw it into an artificial intelligence tool and generated the interpretive report.
If no one else has any comments. And as far as the rural caucus, David and I both went to the rural caucus meeting. I guess that one is probably considered an internet meeting. I don't think it
I should,
there was,
maybe going forward, we just put them all in camera.
yeah, I think it's.
Let's take 2 minutes to report on opportunity.
Okay, 6.4.
So just to, sorry, Madam Chair, before we move on to the next one.
Okay.
The reason I did share this is please review and see if it speaks to our conversation over the past couple of months. This is in draft form, so please do not share with.
Yeah,
anyone. That's why I didn't. do
until
that.
they find it.
I was just gonna share it.
Good thing you looked it up.
Okay. So, before our calendar. Okay, where are we? We're on the 18th. So we'll have our organizational meeting right after this, which will be hopefully be well before 4. 6:30 on the 19th is the Peace Regional. Oh, outreach. Who's going to the retreat?
Oh, outreach. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm
going to that. Okay, and then you're going to Red Earth on the 20th?
On Saturday here.
Yeah. And then I'm going to Max Grad and Paul, I believe, is doing.
T Norris is on the 23rd.
Oh, is it?
And,
Oh, T North.
and Peace, or Springfield is the 26th.
Oh, yeah, those are the long service awards.
Oh,
okay,
okay,
that's
that's
something.
okay, yeah. And Janet, you're still going to the Grimshaw Lawn Service?
So the long service award, we also need a trustee or someone going there, right?
Would like to, yes.
And so I had said I cannot make the 20th, which is Pines Creek with the bowling home.
So, yeah, so going from a staff perspective, we have somebody attending that, but if, trustees are still looking at it.
And then Worsley has theirs on the 24th, and I had originally said I wanted to go, but now I might be going along on a field trip as a supervisor. So I'm not entirely sure if I can.
On the 20th.
That's it.
Could anyone do the
Yeah.
20th? I'm in,
20th is the day after tomorrow, right?
yeah.
What time is that, Edith?
For Pines Creek, that's at 2 to 3, 6. So, yeah. Pines Creek, at the bowling alley.
In Fairview.
27th, yeah.
3 to 6.
Oh, the 27th or the 20th?
27th for Hines Creek.
I think she's talking about the long service.
Oh, the long-
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, the long service,
Okay.
yeah.
Is the 20th?
The long service awards aren't on the calendar. That's.
Yeah.
So they're on my calendar, but
Gotcha.
yeah, 3 to 6 on the 20th for the long service in Pines Creek, and then Worsley's long service is on the 24th,
At the school?
I believe. Worsley's at school, I believe, yeah.
I could maybe make Worsley, but I can't make Fairview.
I could probably make Worsley's too, but I can't do the 20th. If it's raining, I'd like to walk off the golf course and go to the bowling alley. I might get divorced. So.
Oh, dear.
Well, one of us will do the 24th. We'll just decide later.
Yeah.
Janet, are you able to do the one in Fairview on the 20th?
I'm just too tied up at the moment.
So, Madam Chair, Evelyn is going to go to that event from a staff. So there will be board representation there. That wouldn't stop the trustee from going. If a trustee can make it, that's great, but if not, we will be coming.
No.
Yeah, because I'm in.
What time is it at the bowling alley? Either
3 to 6.
3 till 6?
I guess if you end up making it, Evelyn will represent us well, I'm sure that.
So that's 3 to 6 on Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to go back and check the information because ours says, it's an evening, like 6 to 9.
Oh, well, that's gonna happen last time. so.
Yeah, no, it could be, thanks for raising that because we just need to go back and double check.
The Red Earth one is in there wrong as well. It's actually at 4:30, not 5:30. They just
4:30?
told me last night. The
Okay,
grad is at 4:30, the supper's at 5:30.
okay, so that's what you.
And then I am planning on going to the grad.
that you're going to the grad in Hans Creek. GPS Paul is doing, Max, I'm doing, Hans Creek, you're doing. Are we missing anything? And then, oh, there's the central office. Correct. Which I said I was going, but, if I'm not board chair, I probably. Board chair, probably. Whoever's board chair.
What day is that?
That is on the
Next
26th.
Friday.
Oh, the 26th.
And earlier confirmed with Janice that I said is the whole evening at the bowling alley, and she confirmed, yes, the whole evening. So I think the times for Heinz Creek is 6 to 9.
Yeah.
It's not in the afternoon.
That's what we have, 6 to
So
9.
it's a supper and then bowling. Yeah. Supper from 6 to 7 I have, and then bowling from 7 to 9. So 6 to 7 is probably the commitment that you would actually need to be there.
Just a minute, I'm realizing I've got a further email and that the works lane. Long service retirement ceremony was moved to 25th.
I mean, what, sorry?
20
Thursday?
Thursday, June 25th, 1 to 1:30.
Till 1:30?
Yeah, that's
Must be
what
the
the
last day of
invitation
school,
says,
is it?
yeah.
That's the last day of school.
No.
Ours said, so that's new, is it? Because ours says the 24th. That's.
So I know Worsley changed.
Have they been moving, because I'm
Yeah.
just going back through my emails,
They
and
have
this one
moved it a
came out
couple
on May
Yeah,
15th, so
they
it's a
haven't-
long time
They've
ago.
been moving it back.
Yeah, so it is on the
She moved
24th.
that a couple of
When was the
times.
email from you?
I was gonna say, should we email Jen for
Yeah,
that?
just find out. yeah.
Well, I sent an email, so depending on the date of that email, we
Yeah.
can confirm
Right.
which one has this the most
And then there's
recent.
one on the 21st, it says the 24th again, so yes. I believe, okay, maybe it is the 24th, sorry.
Okay.
They have an email
There's been
this
changes
morning.
in several schools of their
Okay.
long service.
Yeah.
I went to one as well that was changed, so
Yeah, they didn't tell us. so.
I went before it happened.
They sent an apology email afterwards.
And Rhonda, you're coming to the Max grad?
Yes.
Are you doing group shop? Or is someone doing? group?
Yes, I'm not doing Grimshaw, but,
Oh,
Cheryl's doing good. I'm doing, I'll be at,
Ritter?
no,
Where's the
no, Friday night, outreach.
outreach? Okay. And is someone going to Ritter?
I don't think anybody from staff is going to be at Ritter. You're going to be at Ritter, Rick Marie?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, anything else? July should be nothing. Sitting. And then in the organizational meeting, August meeting will be set, right? Okay. Anything else for calendar?
So if we always set the August meeting the year before,
Oh, do we?
so just in case we can't have the org meeting at that time, so the August meeting is, the date is set.
Oh, yeah, the
And-
20th.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we will move to the items removed from the consent agenda, which was 2.7.2.
Yeah, I pulled that one. And I pulled that and then asked if, Superintendent Thompson would maybe just talk a little bit about that, so explain it maybe a little bit more.
Sure, I'll start, Madam Chair, and I'll ask Rhonda then to weigh in on this. So we did, you'll recall last year when, last fall, probably before Christmas, we went into, in an in-camera session, we talked about, actually there were 2 times. We talked about some of the challenges we had with funding for the driving school. That basically we hadn't received government funding from, for our instructional space. And despite several meetings or couple of meetings and several conversations back and forth, we hadn't gotten that money that should have come to us. And at that time, we talked about that if we weren't able to be successful in getting money, we would then make a move to perhaps have to say that we're going to have to potentially wrap up services with the driving school, because we didn't want to be in a spot of losing money, not making, breaking even at least. And so then we had some feedback from government officials, and the conversation was around perhaps if we could apply for a collegiate school to get more money. That would then help leverage, the overall effort and help potentially make our driving school more financially viable. Meanwhile, so that collegiate school would have seen that we would have a heavy duty mechanic school focus for students to do skill trade, heavy duty mechanic trade in our bus garage. Meanwhile, our business services director, Carolyn Fraser, did write a proposal through transportation. Is it through transportation? Right, a proposal for funding through transportation, and received approximately $1 million, whereby we were able to buy 2 driving simulators, one of which would be portable that we could move to school community, to the school, in a trailer, and then students could go and get some hours of exposure and get some micro credentialing around that, and over time get some credits if they're in high school. And it was really about helping students become more familiar with what it's like to be behind the driving wheel when they're doing, if they're doing the course, the class 1 driving course. So that piece unfolded, and of course that grant allows us to hire somebody to manage that piece. So when we were having conversations, government officials said, "Hey, you know what? Your next step is to apply for funding for a collegiate school." So we asked for a little over $2 million, and we ended up getting 1.1 million. Now, initially we said, "Well, gee, that's half the money. We don't know if we can actually go there. Perhaps we have to turn it back because there's no point having a shortfall of money right from the get-go." But when we dug into that, we had an internal meeting. We quickly determined that, in actual fact, the 2.1 that we asked for had some pieces in there that were able to be addressed, or were being addressed through the other grant, if I can put it that way. And the 1.1 million allowed us to move forward with the collegiate school. So I'll tag it to Rhonda here now, because she and Carolyn met with government officials and had some further meetings, and we're in the process of moving forward with that.
So we do have a plan for the expansion, the collegiate expansion into heavy duty mechanics. It does come with some additional positions, not as many as we were anticipating, but we can still make that work. There is money to expand 4 learning spaces for the collegiate school. And part of the learning spaces will be at a central office, will include a trailer that will be mobile, and so on. So we're right now making the final plans for what this is going to be. There's some reporting back to capital planning, which we've done, on how we're going to spend that money, and then we'll get the contract back and finalize this plan. So that's where we are right now.
So how many students would that accommodate then in the heavy duty?
I will be able to go out to the schools to reach the students in all of our schools, and then how we're going to house students here, we're still planning that part on the courses and so on.
And Madam Chair, just to add to that, we don't envision this being a huge school, like, 10 or 12 students out in the shop here, or even, throughout the division. This would be a small scale operation initially. So it could unfold with the planning, just for illustrative purposes. So the mobile simulator goes to Menlo Simons, and some kids have that out there and sit there for a month. Well, along with the Northern Lakes College mobile welding lab, because they have one as well. They have a mobile welding lab. So there's those two pieces out there. Subsequent to which a person becomes interested in heavy duty mechanic work, that person might come in here and spend a certain finite amount of time hands-on in the shop, and there might be some virtual delivery as well. Often there is virtual delivery for some of these dual credit programs. So there could be dual credit programming opportunities here as well. And so a lot of work yet to be done, but I don't envision it being like having 30 or 40 students involved. This might be just a small number of students each year. And so we have a couple of years worth of funding here. That and then the transportation grant is renewable, I think, right?
Yes,
So-
and I'm doing some working with capital planning on the sustainable operational and operations and maintenance funding to support the heavy duty mechanic school in this building.
The other thing I'll mention, Madam Chair, is that, so Northern Lakes College, that's going to be having a significant presence in Fairview now. They already have a driving school, I think it's in the Pembina Hills area. And they think they partner with 2 school jurisdictions around collegiate schools. They're very interested in partnering with us. They indicated in a meeting that we had with the president and his executive staff late May, I think it was May 28th or 29th. They already have picked out a spot for a driving school in Fairview. So they are planning to move forward with their own driving school. So we talked with them about that and said, hey, you know what, before they lunge into that in a very significant way, it might be advantageous and it might be a win-win-win-win. Win for us, win for them, win for their students, win for our students. If they partner with us with our existing school and see what the possibilities are about expanding out, and that was just a very broad conversation with no real pathway forward other than a commitment to continue to explore that. So they have identified a space out there. They don't have the equipment yet. We have equipment and space right here. So it could be an interesting partnership that would, as I said, be win-win for both organizations. So we'll keep the door open on that. They're very eager to partner with us in using their mobile welding lab to augment our mobile driving simulator to make for a more meaningful experience when we move them to a school. So yeah, it's a big piece of work for sure, and hopefully we'll have a couple of positions. We have one advertised now. We've had it advertised for quite some time, and we don't have any real we had 2 positions advertised actually. One we had an offer out and the person accepted, but then that person's life circumstances changed, and then it was no longer feasible for that person to move from one province to another. So that's where that is. And the other one, we haven't yet had any viable applicants. I don't believe, applicants that we might have had 1 or 2 applications, but generally when you get applications coming, you review them and you determine if they meet the minimum requirements or not. And you just keep the ad open until you find some candidates that you think might be able to do the job.
How many students do we have in the driving school at any given time?
The driving school students usually happen in the fall or during the summer after a student turns 18 and finishes their other requirements. So I just lost that. I think we've put like 9 students through the driving school, but a countless, like a significant number have gone through the air brakes course too. So we also offer those on PD days.
Yeah. And if I could make a comment related to that, I know another trustee has a question as well, Madam Chair. So the board made a decision back when the driving school came on board that we would not charge students for any cost associated with the driving school training. I would say that as much as we'd like to maintain that, we're going to need to go back and revisit that, I would say, because this is Right now, the cost to do the Alberta restricted, training to get the class 1 license for the restricted to Alberta is, what is it, up at $10,000, $8,000, $9,000?
Yeah.
It went from 7,500 almost up to 10, and the non-restricted drive anywhere in Canada is probably 12 or 13. 13. We talk, Fort Vermilion School Jurisdiction gets referenced from time to time with regard to some of the stuff they're doing. So one of the things they've done from the get-go, right off the hopper, is that they charge students a very significant amount of money for training. They say, so back when it was $7,500, they say, okay, I don't know the exact numbers, but they'd say, well, $2,500 is tuition, and we can't charge students tuition, right? It's in the act. It's $2,500 of the $7,500 is tuition. In order for you to participate, we need $5,000. So they actually charge students a very substantial amount of money that helps make their program more viable, but it also, I guess, quickly determines who's committed to being successful in this and who's not. And one of the rationales is that when students go through this program, it's a value-added piece. They come out with a very valuable credential. They have a class 1 driver's license that will position them in short order to be making very, very good money. And so that's something we'll need to go back and look at as we continue our efforts to fine tune the operation here so that it's at least break even. We're not interested in, well, it would be nice, but it's not about making huge amounts of money. It's about breaking even and not costing us anything. And it's sort of a self-sustaining piece. One related thing to all of this is that we're likely to be making a move of some staff within the operation here to try to make for better workspace. So right now, we're occupying a space out on the other side, down in the hallway here, out towards the bus, towards technology and the bus department. So our business services personnel are there. We are considering moving them here because our vet school has, in effect, moved to outreach now. Our vet teachers are in outreach and in falls, actually, because one of our falls teachers is also going to be doing some vet teaching. So we've relocated people to Peace River, and we tweaked the job description or the role of another staff member in Fairview. This creates empty space here, and it will allow for more of a team focus. When we bring out the couple of new people that we need to hire, there will be extra space there. So this will be at very minimal cost. It's right now it's a doorway through one space here. So that will likely happen over the summer. We just need to look at that a little more and go from there.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Well, I just don't know the historical context. Why are we in a driving school? Why are we as a K to 12 and a driving school, you can only get it after 18. Why on earth are we doing it?
So, Madam Chair, I'll make a first response to that. So that's a really good question, for sure. And I guess, there's two approaches to that. We could have said no, that's a post-secondary thing and let that unfold there. Or we could have said, well, let's jump at the opportunity. So at the time, there was, and I don't know if this was the real motivating factor or not, but there were a lot of charter schools applying for this grant money, to set up charter schools, collegiate schools, sorry. And so at the time, Adam was heavily invested in doing some work to try to boost the enrollment of the West End schools. Part of the conversation was that if we had a driving school here, some of our students from our West End might be motivated to continue to stay in school and then come here to get their Class 1 driver's license. There was a lot of encouragement from the assistant deputy minister level in government. So there was an assistant deputy minister who strongly encouraged us to apply.
Oh, so this is coming from the Department of Education.
Yeah. Even though internally here, to be the full disclosure, not everybody on the team internally was of the view that we should be moving forward with this because of what the trustee had mentioned, that this is really post-secondary. And at the time we were in competition with Northern Lights College. They were going after the money and we ended up getting it and they didn't. Mm-hmm. So, but really our executive team here was heavily encouraged to apply and I think it's fair to say, given some pretty significant signals that if we did apply, we'd get the money. And so we ended up applying. And I say we loosely, I had very little to do with that at that time. Rhonda and Carolyn through our department took the lead, and an application was submitted. And yes, sir, we ended up being the successful applicant.
There was a lot of talks with Clearhouse County about attracting students to stay in school, and this was an idea that with the intention of keeping students in school to graduate, then to move on to get their Class 1 license. So it was also, another attempt to strategy to keep kids in school, especially in the West End schools.
Yeah, I would think Fairview
be able
College
to
would
do
be the
that.
logical place to have a driving school, don't you think? Like, I don't know, just that it being associated with our buildings and our, just seems.
So, Madam Chair, I will say that, yes, if you look at what the driving school is, and you say, is this K-12 or post-secondary? Hands down, it's a post-secondary endeavor. The other piece here is that in addition to it being a strategy to, along with an altered calendar and some other things that we're putting in place to try to increase the enrollment in our West End schools and keep people in school and that kind of thing. This decision, this desire to acquire a driving school, that had already been a desire with at least one other school jurisdiction that was successful in getting the money. So Fort Vermilion School Division had a driving school before we applied. So a decision had already been made to give this to another school division. And so when we
Is there a college up there in Vermont? I'm sorry, I couldn't go to
Northern
that.
Lakes has they have a campus up there.
yeah, Northern Lakes partners with them in a significant kind of way, yeah. So anyway, we.
I just wondered.
Yeah, so we ended up with the driving school. And that's why I say that there might be a win-win opportunity here down the road to engage in further conversations with Northern Lakes College. So
And they
that,
can take it over.
yeah, well, or together do some sort of partnership that takes a bit of the pressure off us. Because let's fast forward. Our current trainers are really good. From what I understand, we get very solid reports on meeting the requirements. We don't shortchange the hours. 9 days is 9 days. It's an X number of hours for the non-restricted, for the restricted. And it's a little longer, but I'm not sure, but the non-restricted is more time than the restricted. And we document it to the minute. If it's, 150 hours, they get a full 150 hours or whatever that is. But our trainers are not going to be around forever. Let's fast forward 2 or 3 years and we might have somebody who's saying, okay, I think I'm ready to retire. I don't know that right now, but it is possible. And when that happens, now we're in the spot of having to get somebody else trained. So Northern Lakes College coming on board could create possibilities for us because they might have somebody who's already trained who would be willing to partner with us in some ways. So we haven't gone down that road a lot, but it is it's an exciting possibility for us to keep our fingers in the pie here and at the same time have them partner with us, and it could be beneficial to both organizations.
And I think that's part of it. Was it a driving school so much, but getting into the collegiate school to see how it could work, or new possibilities that in an area where we struggle to have opportunities, to see what else it could turn into, which this new funding, could benefit a lot of schools. So, yeah.
I just wanted to ask, so with the driving school, are we just at a break-even point money wise, or do we make any money off of it all? No?
We're pretty much break even. The challenge is repairs and maintenance and operations and maintenance costs. So we're getting some O&M money now, and that's helping us keep above. It's all about the industry work that we're doing to pay for that school.
I know one of the biggest driving factors was that all happened after Humboldt and that relation. And we had a lot of young kids on farms driving, my nephew, driving the semi and loads of grain in at 10 years old into the elevators and stuff. So they grew up on the farm. They grew up on the tractor when they're 6 years old. They're operating the tractor. And that's just a reality. And so that was a big factor too in when we had discussions about this driving school and whatnot. And the cost was another thing, 10,000. The government put that up after the Humboldt thing. Our government came down with that decision to increase that. And, but you do qualify for that to be paid if you're on EI.
So we're talking the cost of this. Does that take into account, Rhonda, the time you and your staff have put into this? Like I said, been time, yeah, because I imagine it's been.
And
But then we have success stories like the kid in Manning who
Kid in
dropped
Manning.
out and he came back
Yeah.
and got his high school diploma because he wanted to get his.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are hard to.
Yeah.
it's a service to the northern areas here.
So these mobile trailers and the mechanic school and all that, do you have a timeline of when that programming might happen? Or-
We're working on it.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
So the simulators, are they here yet?
They'll be here next week. And,
Do the trustees get to use them? No.
in August, when you come back, we can all take a turn in the simulator. Kind of driving challenges.
They're all automatics today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. We only have, standard transmission trucks. Because if you get your class 1 license on an automatic truck, you can only drive an automatic truck. All of our students drive a standard truck, so they can drive either. So it's an enhancement for them. But as far as programming, once we get into, deciding how that's going to set up and what the courses look like, that's where we need some people hired to be able to help us do that work.
So we were supposed to, in the original plan, this would have been up and running now, but the simulators have been delayed in getting there. We haven't been able to recruit a staff member. And so it's a situation where we won't be able to move until we're ready. And that's going to require government to give us a little bit of flexibility on timelines. And if not, we'd have to say, well, you know what, we're going to have to turn the money back because we can't deliver on that. I don't think government is going to say that. They're going to work with us because everybody recognizes the recruitment challenges for sure. And, to the trustees, Trustee Shabelski's question, comment, yes, there's no doubt that when you take on extra stuff, that does have an extra impact. And people still continue to do what they're required to do, and they end up putting in extra effort to make sure this other thing works as well. So it's a classic example of continuing to follow the plate full and without being able to take some things off because the other things that are on there are necessary. But it does require you to go back and look to see what is absolutely necessary and other efficiencies that we can find to make it all work. And that was one of the initial concerns when the conversation around driving school hit the table. Like, what does that mean for, say, our transportation manager, who's already an extremely busy person who comes to work in the morning by 6:30 and doesn't leave till 5:30 in the evening? What does this mean? What does it mean for our business services director, who's got lots of other stuff to do, or our secretary treasurer, or whoever else in the organization? And that's why I think we won't be able to move forward until we get some of these key roles filled here, and hopefully our advertisements are successful soon.
I like the idea of the simulators because they can go from school to school and kids can get a taste of what it might be.
Years ago, we used to have a mobile lab, and I think Trustee Rushton mentioned that at a previous meeting. We used to have a trailer that would go, from Manning and out to the West End. And I know when I first came here, the trailer was still around, but it hadn't been used a whole lot. And I think they got to the point where perhaps, I'm not sure what happened to it. They didn't need some repairs or a lot, but I believe it was ultimately parked in the yard here. Then we pivoted to work with Northern Lakes College, who had a portable lab themselves, and they moved it into Peace River. Beautiful facility. And we went and toured it at one point, and they could have it. It could be a carpenter focus, electrical, welding, and they could switch out in a day. And so they do these courses. They kept it there for a little while, but it didn't get the traction that they or we had hoped. Not a lot of people signed up for it, so they moved it back to Slave Lake because they have one out there that was full and a wait list. And now, when we talked with them the other day, they're moving it. I forget where now, but they're moving it to another location in Alberta, somewhere perhaps around Drayton Valley area, where they have some other work that they're doing. I was correct about where, but they're actually moving one of their labs. But it costs them like tens of thousands of dollars to move it. It's a huge, it has to go on a flatbed, and with the wide load, that kind of thing. It's a big shop. So yeah, it's
Anything else?
No, that's what I wanted to know.
Let's move that.
I will move that for information, you bet.
Okay, all in favor? We are six. It sounds like lunch is out there, so shall we go adjourn for lunch and come back at 4:45?
And then would that be in camera, Madam Chair, then?
Sorry?
That'd be in camera.
In camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, policy meeting back, 2:28. I think David emailed you, Chris, everything you need.
Oh, I didn't realize that, but I'll get it after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The adjournment.
You can get it after, it's just in the email. I just throw this in weird.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? Edith makes that motion, all in favor? What do we adjourn? Where? The regular meeting. Okay. I'll move out of my spot. You're up, Ron.
Am I good to go? Is everybody?
Paul said he was gonna join at 2:30, so I don't know if you wanna mute it, wait for him, or if you just wanna.
Probably should wait. We can wait. Ready?
I can't get my agenda up, but it'll come myself. I trust.
Okay, so as Secretary Treasurer, I will call the organizational meeting to order at 2:31 p.m. And first, I will review the agenda. Today, we will be under the number 3 organization of the Board of Trustees. We'll be doing an election for the board chair, swearing in of the newly elected board chair, and then election of the vice chair. After that, we will, if my computer will work, we will establish the regular and organization meeting dates and times for next year.
Sure.
And then number 5, appointments to board committees and board representatives, and that includes 5.1 board committees, 5.1.1 school councils, and 5.2 board representatives. And then number 6 is the advocacy. So as Secretary Treasurer, I will run the election of the board chair, and then I will swear in the board chair. And after that, the board chair will take over the rest of the organizational meeting. So if everyone is ready to move on, do we have any nominations for the position of board chair?
So I would like to nominate David, if you want to give it a stab.
Yeah, I understand that for sure. Thank you.
And I will do 3 calls for nominations. So second call for nominations for the position of board chair.
I'll nominate Lacey if she wants to. Are you in?
Sure.
Okay, and third and final call for nominations for the position of board chair. I see no further nominations, so we'll just bring ballots that everybody can fill in their choice. And Paul, you can text or email me your vote, please.
Okay.
Where's the garbage?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. And I get your vote. Thank you. Just so you see that it's. Congratulations, David, you're the board chair for the following year. So. Gotta do all my jobs here. I will swear you in. Did you, this document, you can, I'll put your name in there shortly, you just got it, so you can read that. Or just the top part. So you need to read that.
I did. Oh, I need
Yeah,
it.
you need to read that out loud.
I, David Rushton, solemnly affirm that I will diligently, faithfully, and to the best of my ability, execute according to the law the office of school board chair for the Peace River School Division.
Thank you. I turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you. Now, the next thing on the agenda is the election of the vice chair. And the same as Rhonda did for the chair, I will call out 3 times for nominations for vice chair. So first call, nominations for vice chair.
Can I nominate you for vice chair? Would you like to give that a stab? We're switching roles.
I guess I can. Can I nominate, Edith?
I don't think I can accept that at this point. I'm not waiting.
Marie, were you interested in?
Sure.
Oh, okay. I will nominate.
Yeah.
Marie, yeah.
That's fine.
Oh, sorry. Was that twice or 3 times? I'll go the 3rd time, nominations for vice chair. There's no more nominations. We'll close the nomination for vice chair.
Thanks, Paul, I got that. That's congratulations, Lacey.
Let's do the reversal.
Would it be time now to entertain a motion to destroy the ballots? If somebody wants to make that motion?
Yeah.
Marie makes a motion. All in favor? There's 6 of us in favor.
Does that mean
I'm in favor.
Okay, thanks, Paul. That's 7 of us.
Yep.
The next item on the agenda is establishment of the regular and organizational meetings, dates and times. So this document that we have in our agenda is the suggested dates and times then? Is that correct? Everybody had an opportunity to take a look at that?
Yeah.
Do we move it? Or do we move, do we?
I think we have to move that
Yes.
to
I'll make a motion to accept.
trustee Lauren makes a motion. Is there any discussion on that? Anybody have anything to say about it?
My anniversary is December 17th.
You all want, like, what?
you could have right here, would you?
Yeah.
I'll have a good meal then.
All in favor? Paul, are you on?
I'm in favor, yeah.
John and I left the blue room in for
The next, number 5 is the, appointment to the board committees. Sorry, I'm not gonna run the page here. So if you pull up the document that's in there, we've got who's on the committees now.
Is there a reason why some of them are in yellow?
Yes. There is.
The reason some of them are in yellow because they're ward specific. So some of the committees are based in a particular ward, so that's why they would be highlighted in yellow.
Yeah, just the advocacy committee probably.
Sorry. I'm thinking of a different page. So
Yeah.
these policies currently are not, or sorry, these committees are currently not in policy. Don't let Rhonda travel the night before a board meeting. It's not working well. Yeah. And we need to, the one is to be discussed at this meeting because it was brought up at a previous board meeting, that it would be discussed.
Number 6.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so just move along, and if you're really keen on serving on a committee, please raise your hand. Let's have some discussion on it. We don't want to barrel through these too fast, but we don't want to spend all day on them either. On the advocacy committee, we currently have trustee Dick, trustee Giesbert, and trustee Lauren.
I know last time there was some more trustees interested in being on that committee. And if anybody wants to replace me, they're welcome to do their job. I feel like I really haven't done anything much. There's someone else done a much better idea of what to do.
Well, I think the committee only met once, and I think trustee Giesbert, the reason for that is that the committee before had done a whole pile of work. We had all of that, the papers done with all the advocacy things that we were working on, and maybe there wasn't a lot left to do this year. I would think with the stuff that's coming up, it may not be the case. This coming year, there might be a pile of work there, so. But anyways, I know a couple of people are really, really busy and don't have time to do a whole lot.
And I'll just say this, I'll just go on whatever somebody else doesn't want to do.
Okay.
But I am interested in advocacy, but Edith, if you want to stay on there, that's fine with me, I don't care.
Well, if you're busy, well, I can stay on, but I'm very open to anybody telling me along the way what should be done and what it look like and all that.
And I have definite opinions on what I want to advocate for, but I don't know if the board would be agrees with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, yeah,
So you want to just stay on it, Edith, then? Or does anybody else? Yeah.
You're unless someone else wants.
I think we have more committees than we have trustees. So there's going to be lots of opportunities to get onto a committee.
So Janet, if you want to be on it, I'm fine with stepping down.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the advocacy committee is going to be Trustee Shabelski, Easter, and Lauren. The audit committee currently is Trustee Quinney and Trustee Rushton. There's not a lot of work there. It's one day a year. I don't have any problem staying on.
And I have no problem staying on as well.
Is the board okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Council of School Councils is all trustees. The discipline committee is up to 5 trustees. Exclude the board chair and the local trustee. That stays the same. The Fairview committee, I'm not sure if this committee is necessary anymore, but I would like to see it stay there just for one more round, the same as we did with the other one, and just see where we go now that we're got through the Peace River area scoping, and just see if there's a need for another community meeting in Fairview to look at the educational future there.
I just wanna, I'll just check with, our superintendent here. I'm not sure if it's our role. I just know that in Peace River and Grimshaw, you guys have a lot of cool things that happen because I think of your RCMP person. Is that who organizes all the kind
Some
of
of
cool
it's
stuff
the
that goes on
committee.
in your division or in your part of the division?
It was, yeah, it was largely headed by the RCMP, and it's a partnership between us, the RCMP, and the town of Grimshaw.
Yeah.
Town of Peace River added on in the last year, right?
Okay,
Yes.
I was just impressed with what I saw happening. And I was wondering, would that be an appropriate role for a Fairview committee is to reach out to other partners such as the RCMP and see if we can get them looking at what's happening in Peace River and take, or is that's not our role?
I would say that was not the purpose of the Fairview Committee initially. I think I stand corrected, but I think part of the conversation with the Fairview Committee was focusing on what was potentially unfolding with regard to the reconfiguration of the school system out there. So this whole piece around what would look like? Would there be a collegiate school on the campus?
Right.
Are we going to go with a K-12 school, K-6, 7, 12, all that stuff? That kind of,
Okay.
that was the focus versus student activities. Like student activities piece is more in the operations world.
Okay, I just wondered if that would be ever part of our role to look for partners who would come on with us.
Yeah. And that said, if with your connections within communities,
Mhm.
you were in a conversation in another setting for another purpose, and you heard somebody talk about, they're interested in partnering with the school division, then by all means, you bring that forward and say, hey, I'll link you up with somebody. So it could be Rhonda or Alita or Cheryl or myself, and then we can move forward with some of that stuff.
Could I say something like, hey, our CP in Peace River are doing these really cool things?
I think it all depends on who you get.
Yeah.
I know Manning's, like, different times, there's been nothing, but now we have someone who's just like, wants to be in that school as much as he can and create those relationships. So I think it's like anything.
It's just like, but that's
It's
not
like
a
a school,
committee
you don't have the
role
staff
as a
who have
board.
that passion.
No.
They're- Yeah.
I see that as more of you're a board member, you're in a setting whereby you see an opportunity to perhaps foster some conversations around partnerships. By all means, have that conversation and say, hey, have you linked up with your counterparts in Peace River?
Yeah.
I, as a trustee, I know that they've done some really great things.
Yeah.
If you're interested in partnering with us on that, two things, reach out to your counterparts in Peace River, but also reach out to the division level staff and we can have conversations around
Okay.
that. But I'd see that more in that line rather than a
A more
committee of the
casual,
board
yeah.
sitting down strategically and moving forward on that front.
And having just talked that all through and remembering the Fairview committee come up, like just at a board meeting and we just designed it and we filled it and we walked away from it. I think the Fairview committee can be put to bed right now, and we don't need it. Because if we get to a point in the future where we're going to start looking at that, and we do need to put a committee together to keep it in the forefront, we can do it at that time. So my suggestion would be to dissolve that committee. Number 6.
Do we have to make a motion to remove it? When it wasn't already, wasn't in policy?
It wasn't in policy, but there was a motion to create it.
Okay, so we should.
So we should make a motion
We can do that.
to,
I'll make the motion myself.
Yeah, we can, at the end, we can accept the committee list as,
Oh, yeah, the board
yeah,
approach probably,
yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Number 6, the Indigenous Education Committee. Yes, I would agree that committee no longer exists.
Oh,
I've been on the committee since October of 2023, and there's never been a meeting.
oh,
It's turned into more, if there is a committee, it's an operational level committee, but I'm not even sure there's actually a committee anymore.
No, Mr. Chair, I can speak to that, it used to be a board committee once upon a time. Delana Velichka was, the board representative on that committee. It was a committee that was in place when I arrived there, and they would meet twice a year. They'd have a school-based contact, a lead teacher in each school that would come together, so there'd be 18 or 20 or more people in the room, and they'd have conversations about some stuff. And then it started to sort of wane a bit, and post-COVID, so David, not only since 2023, I don't know that there's been a meeting of the committee since COVID. There might have been 1 or 2. It then morphed into Holly would have met with the leads in each school once a year, perhaps. But I don't even think she did that in the last couple of years. And it would be more reaching out. It might be like bringing them together. Wouldn't be. It might be a half-hour virtual meeting and so on. So it's certainly, I think, the decision to say, hey, you know what, as a board committee, probably it's a wise move to say it no longer exists. And if there was ever a point in time when there needed to be a conversation about the matters at a board table, it could still happen without a committee.
Okay. Number 7, the grievance committee. 3 trustees and 1 alternate, Shabelsky, Buchinski, and Rushton, with Quinny being the alternate. Is anybody just dying to get on that committee?
I don't agree.
I don't think we met.
I'll just say that since I've been secretary treasurer for Peace River School Division, this is an ATA grievance committee, and there's not been a grievance that has made it to this committee.
I suggest we keep the committee
Yep.
and the same members. We'll put in all the time we put in the past and do all that good hard
We're
work.
gonna do double.
So is that with CUPE as well? Like, or who are we? Are you CUPE or?
We're both. We have an ATA
And that's
collective
the
agreement,
grievance.
and that's what the grievance committee is.
So the next one, 7A, negotiations for QP support staff. Due to the recent collective agreement signings, this committee will not be active until 2028. So we don't need any members there. That's the same thing for the ATA. Peace Learning Connection. Currently, Trustee Gaisberg is there. And it's to be reviewed today in light of their discussions at the budget meeting last Friday. I'm thinking that the Peace Learning Connections committee probably doesn't have to be there anymore as well. So,
Yeah, that used to be a home education committee that then shifted to the Peace Learning Connection Committee. And I don't think it's been overly active in the last year and a bit. The last meeting probably was I know Adam might have had one meeting either virtually or here with some of the homeschooling families. That might have been when perhaps Trustee David was still working with us. But given the fact that we've now made the move to say we're no longer going to be supporting home education, I would agree that the recommendation would be that that committee would fold for now.
okay. Policy 9, the policy committee, or committee 9, the policy committee. There's currently 3 trustees on there, Quinny, Rushton, and Buchinski. And we heard earlier today with some of the stuff that's coming down. This committee is going to be fairly busy and fairly active over the next year, I would think. I don't think we were probably active enough looking back over this past year. We didn't get through enough policy work. My name is there and I wouldn't mind staying on that committee. if there's people that really want to beat me up to get there, I'll listen to them. But
I also would gladly give up my spot.
you gotta sit there too.
I can, but if everyone else wanted it, I would gladly.
I wouldn't mind. I'll go back.
Agree?
It would just be interesting because I remember when we were doing our planning meetings and we were looking at those policies, I think it was policy 2, role of the board, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. And there were so many things on that list that we weren't doing.
Right.
So if we're not gonna do it, then do we
Yeah.
change it or do we start doing it?
Well, that's the thing, is to go back through it again. We did policy 2 and we did policy 3 the year before last.
Okay.
Some of those things we left on there because we weren't really clear and we knew there was gonna be a new board coming in, so we left them there. Those
So
policies should be gone through again.
will we have another planning meeting next year or is that only when we start?
I think we're probably gonna have a planning meeting early in the fall. I would suggest there's a few things. There's some appendixes to policy 2 and policy 3 that were added on that the board never really got an opportunity to go through. So I think we need we adopted them and we brought them in from some work done by Prairie Land. Well, we just put them in there. We never did any work to them. So I think the board's gonna have to take a look at those, and a planning day would be the time to do that.
Well, and also the policy committee could meet and make their priority list
Yeah.
and see if that's approved by the board.
Because
Because there's gonna be a lot that we're gonna have to change to meet legislation.
Right, and I just remember being that day, there was all these things that in policy 2 that we should be doing that we're not doing. So we have to decide, we need to start doing it or we need to remove it from our policy.
Yes.
So we have trustee Dick and myself.
I can, somebody wants to be in that policy committee, they can take my spot too. Like, I'm happy to step aside there. I can't make them all, so if somebody
Right.
can make more than I can make, they can jump in.
One of the things that worked, I think, well, last year, we had 2, say, people that were fairly familiar with the long term.
Two should stay on that.
Well, Marie was been on there before too, so,
there, that would be.
but I mean, one more new person.
Right.
If either one of you guys, it's a good place to learn policy if you're
Well,
interested.
John and I,
Well, it's just, it all depends what's up with my mom. It's yeah.
Some of it could maybe be done online too.
Well, there's gonna be a lot of work, I think, that's gonna have to be done in person over here.
Yeah.
Wanda, there's no interest in you in it?
no,
Okay, so then it would be,
Did I go on advocacy? I'm on advocacy, I want to policy. Did I?
trustee Giesbrecht, are you
No,
interested?
Wanda's on there.
How much
Yeah.
work is it?
You went on
Am I on
advocacy.
advocacy?
You went on advocacy, Maurice, did she
I
check
just don't
out?
think,
Would
it all
that
depends
do
what
a
happens.
bit more driving for me? Can I do it online? How do you-
Well, I think a lot of the meetings are going to be in person for sure. And probably at least once or twice a month. Yes, right. If we're doing like, we're supposed to be going through these policies annually. We've never done it yet. And with the work that's coming up, it's probably maybe a couple, it'd be a nice experience for you if you can dedicate the time to it.
But could she go online and participate in the meeting? Like if she has her policy book in front of her?
Yeah, I mean, that's always,
Or you guys could maybe go up
it's
there
just a
once in a
whole lot,
while.
it's a whole lot easier to do that when you're looking at the same screen, right? Because we're typing and we're changing things to red, and
You could do that on your laptop,
I
right?
didn't say I couldn't do that,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
What do they call that program where you have meetings together and you can edit
Go
documents?
meet her.
I didn't catch
What do they call that?
They can do it in,
Teams or whatever.
they can do it in Google Meet and have a Google Doc there, both. of
Yeah,
you.
my biggest concern would be the time and the drive commitment to that. So like I like the idea of the experience for sure and becoming a lot more familiar with them. But I'm not quite sure about the time commitment.
Can I suggest this then? Like some of our other policies, we have 3 trustees and an alternate. Can we put you and I and Marie in as the trustees? The trustee Buchinski would be willing to stay on as an alternate. So then you could fill in if Edith couldn't make it. That work for you?
Yeah.
Then you don't have to worry about, if you can't make it, we can still have the 3 there. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds
And
good.
if we find a way to do it online, we can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so who's on?
If we can teach 20-some kids in that online.
David and
Do
myself,
anything.
We can do anything.
and then Lacey, bring it up.
The next, policy, or the next committee is a student engagement committee. And that's all trustees. What that was meant to be, it's a little different now, but that could still stay there because we don't know what we're doing with as far as student engagement goes.
Yeah, we need to do something. with
Yeah.
this engagement.
Pardon me?
We need to do something.
Yeah, and I think you've already discussed that that's going to be a topic that you want to flesh out a bit more. And so just as a reminder, we did engage with students this year. Kristen sent the survey out and then later did a really good summary document and
Yeah, we got it.
yeah. I think I sent it after a board meeting. I hadn't sent it out. So in there was an attempt to pull out the governance related themes and one option for consideration later. That's your work for you to decide. But if you wanted to be a little more specific, some of the questions that Kristen put in the survey could have more of a governance focus, so you'd be guaranteed to get responses back. And you could take those responses then and decide if there's advocacy pieces there, or you might decide that that would be the main way to get data. And then you might say, okay, in any given year, these are interesting pieces of information. Wouldn't it be good to bring in a small group of students to unpack that a bit more, to get more insights into it? So we invite schools that wanted to participate to send one or two students in, or to join virtually, because now it's a particular focus. And kids said this to you, and you'd be more likely to engage them. That would be a radically different piece than saying to all principals, you must find two people and they must attend, and the same two kids show up all over the
Yeah,
time.
and they're the gold star students. And
You
sometimes
got it.
we want to engage with some of the ne'er-do-wells too.
So you could say, well, we could set that up on your behalf to say, hey, the board now having gotten the information through the survey, which would be the main data gathering tool. The board would like to unpack this a little more with a couple of students from your school. And to be honest about it, Janet, in the past, that was often orchestrated on our end as well, to make sure that the people coming to the event were articulate and could speak and so on. And in fact, not many of you would know, and maybe you wouldn't because you weren't at the table, but way back when, the superintendent would work to the schools in advance and meet with the students to prep them to make sure when they came to your meeting.
Oh my God.
They
They
just
were,
put their best face forward.
so that's like that's sort of a little less natural approach. Whereas if you went that way, and I'm not suggesting you have to go that way, I'm just saying one alternative that you could consider when you're bringing, when you have this topic back to the table would be that. So I think the chair said that, let's leave it there and you're going to define that a little bit more. But I'm certain that we could help you with your advocacy pieces through the instrument we already have. And you could decide what you want to do with it after that.
Committee number 11, the support staff bus driver liaison. There's 2 trustees with an alternate. Currently trustee Dick, trustee Lauren, and trustee Buchinski is the alternate.
I'm good with staying on.
And how often do we meet to?
Well,
his own?
Have you met since you've been here?
No.
Not so much, right?
So. I
So-
don't know, do you know when they're meeting or?
So we have new terms of reference developed, and we've said that there would be a fall and the spring meeting. I think the reason.
Yeah,
Before you go ahead. I'll tell you
Yeah.
why we didn't meet
The
before.
reason we didn't meet this year is because there was a new executive in QP. And they were trying to get committees, so they had a lot of learning there. It's a pretty new group of people in the executive, so they had a lot of training and trying to get their feet underneath them to understand all the stuff. And they asked that we could basically start over in the fall and we would, they have the terms of reference and we could move forward with the committee.
And during the negotiation years, it's typical and advantageous not to be engaged in too many meetings because you don't want to be going to meetings and have some spillover. So with the item below, number 12. We didn't meet during the negotiation year last year, but we have new terms of reference for all of our committees. We've narrowed it down to 2 meetings a year, and all of those committees, that would be, all the people that are represented on these committees, were in favor of 2 meetings a year, fall and spring. And yeah, we've even been, not sure with this committee, but the one below, we actually now know the date. It's the 3rd November, I think, 3rd week of November, 3rd Tuesday of November, is it?
So it sounds like times a year, spring and fall. Are you okay to have your name stay on there?
Are you at work, Paul?
No, I'm at hotel. I'm in Canmore.
Yeah, fancy.
Yeah, so,
Sorry,
don't you go.
committee number 12, the teacher board advisory and feedback committee. 2 trustees, currently Buchinski, Shabelsky, and Gaisberg is the alternate.
Yeah, we don't really talk about anything.
You okay then?
Yeah.
So I think, Mr. Chair, the meeting, we said, was what, the 3rd Tuesday of October and in April. And the way the language of the terms of reference of it is that other meetings if needed. So we've gone from that 1 meeting a month way back when to 4 a year to now twice a year and others as needed. And I think everybody is really happy with that. And they've been virtual meetings versus dinner meetings. And the teachers on this committee, the TBAC, because there's a staff meeting operationally at the same day. And so they wanted to meet earlier. They preferred an afternoon meeting with a substitute teacher, but we've been able to keep it after school, 4 to 5 and 5 to 6.
So we've been through all of these committees. And, oh, sorry.
Sorry, they're October 27th and April 27th, which is the 4th.
You're saying the support staff bus driver meeting, or you're saying teacher board?
Teacher.
That's the teacher. There will be 2 similar meetings.
But we don't know a date yet.
We're working with them on that.
Their meetings are typically during the day.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why teachers are asking to have theirs during the day as well. And the Holy Family does theirs during the day. So we've been under some pressure around that, but we've been able to hold off saying, there's substitute teacher shortage and all that stuff, but maybe that'll be something they'll bring to the table again this year for consideration.
So we have all of the people on the committees that are here. And I believe that everybody was in agreement to remove the Fairview Committee, the Indigenous Education Committee, and the Peace Learning Connection Committee. So do we need a motion now to accept, if somebody wants to make that motion to accept the,
So I'm wondering about the school food money that's coming. And I would like to see the school division be more cohesive with that money, because there are probably shared things that they would like, that they could do. And if they knew about what each other are doing, that they could work together on things. Because I know 2 of the schools that said they were going to hire somebody, and I didn't say anything about that because I was just like, well, okay, so you want to hire somebody, but I'm like, why would each individual school work in their own little silo when this money is coming every year? And in fact, it's going to become more money. And I think that Piece 10 has other examples, like High Prairie. They've got an umbrella system of having the schools coordinate. They've been coordinating for years.
So you want a committee?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how it works.
I didn't hear.
She says, so you want a committee?
I was just asking.
But I don't know how, is that, do we leave that with the teachers, or do we leave that with, or can we help?
So I think that would be an administrative piece. I've got team members here who have that as a responsibility. So I don't see that as being a board committee per se. It's really operational in nature. That's my read of it, that,
There is some, yeah. There is a
Do we have
provision to
any
have an ad hoc committee that would look at a specific timeline for, if a board wanted to look at that to see, from the 30,000 foot level what that looked like.
Yes, a 30, because we're not telling anybody what to do. We just want to know from them, is there something that the school trustees can do? Or is there something that you need? But it's kind of a gray area for me.
my read would be that, if there were things that trustees wanted to know about this, then they'd ask for a report from the superintendent, who would bring a report forward, to say, hey, here's an update on where things are. And that would be the very best way forward. I mean, that's my read on it. I think, like, when you look at your committees here, that you've got a lot of work to do on your policies, and you've already acknowledged that today. Like, there's a significant amount of work to do and more to come because of Bill 25. There are pieces, the work plan, and David has spoken to that before, like, there are pieces in the work plan that are important, but they're not actually unfolding in the way that they need to unfold now. Like, there's a lot of work that will keep you really busy. I don't know that, I don't see the governance connection to the food program because it's purely operational. If there were governance pieces, then that could be added as an agenda item for conversation. And it wouldn't need a committee to come together and have conversations about it. But that's just my read now. And of course, at some point in time, if this morphs further and becomes even more complex, and then there are governance overtones that need, the board can always decide to establish a committee at a later time as well.
I think because, like Trustee Dickett brought it up on our meeting on Friday, like the $600,000. And I think for me, it became a reality when I was going around to all the schools, like this school's putting in a dishwasher, this one's bought a stove, these one's bought a freezer and a fridge and all of that. And I guess what Rhonda was saying at our meeting on last Friday was that once this is all through, they have to start looking at what, what's it going to look like in the big picture. I would like to have more discussions on that. Maybe if we have a planning day coming up, we'll put that on the agenda.
Sorry to interrupt. Could we discuss that on our planning day?
That's what I just said, yeah.
Oh.
Sure.
Hey, we're all.
But maybe just put that on the agenda so that
I'm
we're
not on
all,
the same page because I don't think it's our department.
but we can definitely sit and discuss it, right? For sure.
Because I think every school has they know exactly what they need and they want to be able to pivot and do what they want when they see the needs in their school. And I could see if we were close and maybe there'd be some efficiencies, but we're so spread out that
I still
don't
think
see
there's some
any.
efficiencies because.
and maybe it's something
I
the
just
council, the
know,
school council, maybe like it's
right.
something like that. If they
Yeah.
wanted to maybe do things.
And they also have an administrators meeting.
Yes.
But we could be an enabling body for them, like somehow, but I guess we'd have to wait.
Well, it's as big as you want to make it, right? I mean, we could be advocating to the county so that we could have a chicken house in Fairview or raised beef over in Worsley. If it ever got, I mean, that's how massive the whole nutrition program is across Alberta right now, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's warrants sitting down and just sitting back and, when we're not in a public meeting and just talking about what does the board think about this? Is there any way we can help? Like you put it out there. Can we help? So that's something that, if we have a planning day early in the year, I'd like to see that on the agenda for sure. Spend some more time on it. So I'm not sure if somebody put a motion on the floor to accept these committees.
Did you?
Is that it?
Yep.
Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
You.
To
Trustee Lauren,
Yep.
all in favor? Paul?
I'm in favor, yeah.
Mr. Chair, one piece around committee three, while that was a conversation, this used to be twice a year. There was conversations around having it once a year because well, first of all, sometimes the meetings would unfold and there'd be conversations around what's the purpose of the meeting. Are we getting the value for the buck on this? Some people would say it's difficult to attend the meetings. So I think last spring, or earlier this year, conversation was, I think it was in January, February, that trustees were going to have the conversation with the school council executive at a meeting that they attended to say, hey, Do you still see a need for the board to have a meeting of the council, of school councils, and bring everybody together for sharing and so on? And I'm not sure where that is. Your policy is written in a way whereby you actually don't have to have a committee. We looked at that a while ago. It says that something like the board would encourage councils to engage in conversation or whatever, because it's not explicitly stated that the board will have a committee around this.
We usually actually, sorry, but we changed the policy so that it reads that way. It used to say we would meet up to twice a year or something like that.
So the policy has been changed. So I was just throwing that out there to say, I don't know if, Mr. Chair, if was there any feedback from the school councils about the meeting?
So, Mr. Chair, I did talk to all three schools because Springfield had, I gone to their meeting and they have struck a school food. They're very excited about this school. So they had struck the committee and I said, well, are any of you with TA? And so then they said, so they said, we should liaison with TA because some of our kids are in both schools. And I said, and then it wasn't even me. John Pittman brings up this council of school councils. He says, because that'd be a pretty good place to do this, because I'm sure some families have kids in all three schools.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, I did bring it up with them and Springfield and TA for sure, but I did not make it to the third meeting with Easthigh.
My suggestion, Trustee Lauren, is that to everyone else here actually, is that in September, maybe or October, right first thing in the fall, we bring that topic to the school council, all of us in that month.
Yeah.
Make sure it gets into the minutes and what's talked about there, because Trustee Giesbrecht has talked about the 3 West End schools, and the West End schools are pretty keen on maybe them getting together. So it may not be a council of school councils where the trustees are meeting with all the school councils. It may be just inter-school council meetings, but I would suggest we pick a month, everybody bring that same topic, get the questions answered, get it into the minutes, and the minutes become a part of the board agenda, and we go through that and kind of pick out, is there a reason or an appetite to have a council of school council meetings? It costs some money. We usually have food, and it's not really been all that productive, to be honest with you, in my opinion. The ones I've been to here.
Particularly if they are working on things that they do a roundtable and talk about what they're working on, I think even Manning, even Fairview would realize that there could be some things going on that they could partner with, maybe.
Right.
But even just ideas.
Yeah, get ideas from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mr. Chair, and on the notion of, so we're talking about the council, school councils now versus a specific topic, like say food in schools program, right?
Yeah.
So this council, school councils, I mean, the agendas have actually been set up whereby Chris would send out invites to say, hey, can you are the things you want to bring forward to share? And I would tend to agree that for the time and effort that goes into it, generally they've been relatively unproductive till now. In fact, we've heard some people say, I'm not sure about these meetings, like the people that come. So yes, I think the notion of going back and revisiting it to say, is there a need for the board to continue to bring the councils together to have conversations about how they, as councils, can collaborate? And I think Trustee, I think it was actually Paul, Trustee Quinney, who said one time, councils are generally interested in the work that they do, and they're not as much interested in what the council next door is doing. So it's almost like the school board is forcing a committee meeting and forcing people to come together, and then many tend to oblige. You get invited to a meeting, they'll have people show up, but the times I've been here, I haven't seen people jumping up and down, being really excited about being at the meeting. In fact, there's even been efforts to try to encourage them to go to the provincial meeting, and we haven't had a lot of uptake on that either. So I think it's a really good idea to talk with councils in the fall, as Mr. Chair has just said, and see what you get back.
I think so too, because like you said, we can't seem to get them to attend the provincial meetings where in Edmonton or whatever, even though we'll pay for their rooms and meals and stuff. We can't seem to get the parents interested to attend there. But if we puts a little pressure on them and said, and they have a reason to attend, maybe talk about this food program and stuff like that, that they would be interested in, make some, bring up some good topics or whatever, then maybe we could get a better attendance. I think that, I know both Nampa and, Red Earth, both of my schools there are very interested in that kind of stuff. So,
I
Yes,
think,
I mean,
I think
I
they want
think
to
that-
talk about something pragmatic, like something that makes a real impact on their school. I know when I was at the Grimshaw meeting, Paul, they were asking me about Fairview and how does that work and what do they do? So maybe even a chance for them to kind of brainstorm together or collaborate or get ideas from each other.
Well, was it a World Cafe kind of setup? Is that how they look? Like where you're kind of like giving, you know, pulling out of the attendees, like,
There's been everything. We brought in,
Trainers.
yes,
financial
from the
trainers.
Alberta School Council Association.
These
And
people are all
roundtables
volunteers,
of, like,
right? Yeah, that they work their work.
What works for people, what doesn't.
It's really difficult to try and find something that fits Worsley and Manning
That
and
everyone-
PA and.
Because most of them just want to learn about what's happening in their school and make their school better. And yeah, they don't want to see like, they don't care what's happening.
No.
So
That's
I
true.
brought this up in some sort of way at each of my school council too. I think most of them would be open to getting together at, either as all the schools or just the West End, I don't know. I know Worsley has been one school that has been attending the provincial meetings. Menlo used to a couple of years ago, they went. A number of years ago, they went. I'm not sure about Hines Creek. So Worsley would be a school that kind of would have suggestions, maybe of what has been effective in the past, what they did not find helpful. I know they have some very knowledgeable people there, and they would have suggestions maybe going forward on what could happen. Menlo would, like, the responses I would have gotten from them would be more like they loved any of the presentations that would basically teach them what the roles and responsibility of a school council was. Like that would have been one of the biggest highlights of any training they'd ever gotten, is how can we be more effective? I still think getting together, at least even just some of the West End schools, would be great, just because I know that they have ideas that they could share amongst each other. Hines Creek also, I think, was open to the idea, but everybody would be open to tweaking it whichever way possible to make it more effective. I think everybody at this point knows that we could do better. If we want to pursue this, we need to make it something that we all find very helpful.
I believe that, if the results of the council of school council meetings are as good as we could expect them to be, then it's well worth the effort and well worth the expense put into it. So my suggestion or my thought is that in the fall, we design some kind of a questionnaire and we all take it out to our individual schools and say, let's fill this out so we can bring it back to the board table and find out if there's any appetite for us to have the council of school council meetings once or twice a year, or is there just an appetite for some support for schools getting together? Right?
Yeah, that was actually going to be my suggestion too, that if we go back in the fall, that we have some very specific questions, so we all ask the same thing.
Yeah.
And then that we can maybe have a better.
So maybe Trustee Giesbert, if we went to the September meeting with something on our mind and got some ideas and said, what would the questionnaire look like?
Yeah.
And we put a bunch of things down, we bring it in here, we massage a little bit, then in our October meeting, go back out and say, this comes from all of our schools, right? And then, so let's answer these questions and find out where we are, so that moving, I mean, like right now, we could just drop the council of school councils, but I don't know whether that would be the right move or not. Maybe we missed something along the way. And we'll find out, right?
And we want to support our student councils. Those people are, there's usually the same core small
Yeah.
group, and they're working their butts off, and how can we support them?
So, Mr. Chair, I would just say, we certainly can help in putting together some questions if you want, and I agree. Having the same set of questions that everybody gives to every council and gives every council the opportunity to respond to them, then you're making a really good informed decision based on data that you collected versus just a verbal back and forth because something gets lost in the translation. So we can certainly help draft some information, draft a draft questionnaire for your consideration. We can tweak it even further, and then you can decide to take it out and, we can send it electronically and set it up as a Google form. And that way the analysis of the data, you can get a real nice report and you'll have a really good bead as to one, whether people are interested, two, are they interested in meeting once or twice a year, fall, spring? And what are the top 5 topics that they like to talk about, something like that, and then you got a good bead on it.
So if we spend some time in our August meeting August meeting, if where you don't have too many things on the agenda, designing half a dozen questions for each one of us to take out to our school councils.
Yeah.
And then get some more questions from the school councils that they would like to see answered, then bring it back and we'll disperse the whole thing and find out the answers for where do people want to go with this thing, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah, good idea.
We go on to representatives on policy 9.
School councils.
Pardon me?
You have to do school councils.
Oh, okay. Is that okay? Yeah, no, I'm there, I just got okay. So at E. Oliver, we've got Rushton, Fairview High Rushton, Fairview Area Learning Store Rushton, Grimshaw Public Quinny, Pines Creek, Gaisbert, Lloyd Garrison, Shabelsky, Manning, Buchinski, Meadow Simons, Giesbert, Napa Public Dick, Peace River High, Lauren, Peace River Oak Ridge Dick, Red Earth Dick, Springfield School, Lauren, TA Lauren, and Worsley Central, Giesbert, right? Are those all?
Yeah, mine.
No changes are needed there, right?
No, unless some of the Peace River people wanted to stick around.
Where? What? Okay, where are we on? Where is that?
Yeah, it's there's 2 attachments on that page. It's the first one.
I'll just look at.
5.1.
So I'm assuming I'm your alternate, am I? And I'm Paul's alternate?
We don't have alternates listed on this, but yes, you would be my alternate in Fairview.
And Paul, between you and I will do Grimshaw. I'll go on the days you can't make it.
Sure, sounds good. Yeah. Yeah. There will be a few, though. There's going to be,
Like that meeting, there were some characters there.
Grimshaw is good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're good with the school council committee? You need a motion on
No,
each
we
one?
don't, that was just to review, so we're good.
Board representatives, 5.2 now? Yeah, we've got the Alberta School Board Association Zone 1 rep. I would actually rather not do that this coming year. I don't mind going to the meetings, and there's not a whole lot of work, but I would rather not have that responsibility for this coming year. If somebody else would want to take that one on, if not, I can do it.
Can I do both or ESBA and ASBA? I'm the alternate for you on.
Well, this is just this is a zone 1, so you should
Oh,
be able to do it.
That's what?
This is zone 1.
Oh, okay, no. No, better not step back in there.
Oh.
I can.
Oh, yeah.
You'll do it? And I can be the alternate on that. Alberta School Board, Alberta School Councils Association. We have 1 trustee and 1 alternate, nobody on there, right?
Mhm.
I could maybe go to that.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want to.
No.
So it's,
I've never gone to it, and
Okay.
I would like to.
I did it once. It was really, I
No.
wouldn't go, yeah.
Okay, maybe.
But it's tagged right on. It's the next day after another meeting, but it is in a different hotel.
If no one else wants it, I would consider going just to see.
Well, you can put your name on there and not go. right?
Yeah.
Trustee Buchinski. E. Oliver is Rushton and Shabelski. That's the Fairview Joint Board Committee. Makes sense.
I'm just an alternate, right?
Pardon me?
I'm an alternate.
Grimshaw Community Services Board. Queenie with Shabelski being the alternate. Grimshaw Library Joint Use Services Agreement. Queenie with Shabelski being the alternate.
Did you go to those meetings, Paul?
I've never been to a library one yet, but I do the joint community joint advisory board one.
Paul, if you have an issue with this, just holler up, eh? The Grimshaw Shared School Advisory Joint Use, Queenie Shabelski. Grimshaw Shared Schools Library Dispute Resolution Committee, Buchinski. Manning Aurora Composite School, one trustee and one alternate. This is for their joint use.
That are still,
That's right.
are still under construction. We're still working through this.
I'll fill that then when it's done.
I would assume we may as well do it now because this will be coming probably by the August board meeting, so.
So let's see if we can find a trustee that would.
Who could that person be? Well, I would be your alternate.
I ain't driving around.
I could drive to Mountain.
So we've got Buchinski and Lauren as the alternate.
Yep.
The Meadow Simons Cleardale Agricultural Society Recreation Committee. There's Rushton with Shabelski as the alternate.
Doesn't Edith make more sense on that?
What was that, sorry?
Why is it?
Why is, what, would Edith?
Is that
not-
what-
Yeah.
She works for them.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
The Peace River Community. You've got Dick as the main and Lauren as the alternate. Public School Board Council. We have trustee Dick. There's our representative there.
I would possibly do something.
Okay.
What's up?
Trustee Buchinski said she's interested in PSBC.
I would like to stay on, but because I'm on the PSBA, correct?
This is the
This is the
PSBC. This is the committee that meets 4 times a year for the PSBAA.
Oh, okay, yeah, I would like to stay on that.
Okay, so we have 2 people that would like to be on that.
Rock, paper, scissors.
That's right. Arm
I
wrestling.
don't know how that works.
Have a vote.
Draw up a hat, works for me.
We do, I mean, in our,
It does say an alternate can go.
it does say an alternate can go. And I don't, like, I'm not gonna be beating down the doors to go next year, and I'm not sure anybody else is here either.
I just know I'm very critical of them and I don't see their value, so I feel like I need to see their value. And
No,
that's
I
the
know,
only way I'm
which one
gonna see
are
it,
they?
so.
And I think that,
School Board Council.
I see, definitely see where you're coming from, especially after going to the meeting that I went to this spring in Calgary with the PSBAA. I think that the PSBAA is not where it needs to be, but I would really like to focus them over to a place where they can be really valuable to us, because there's a lot of money, there's a lot of people, they could have some big influence there. So if yourself and trustee Dick were, one was the main and one was the alternate, we have that in our policy 7 that an alternate can go to the 4 meetings a year. And if you wanted to do that, that would be fine. Does that work? Or do you want to have a vote on who's going to be on the committee?
Vote.
Well, we can do a vote, right?
I mean, but if if Marie is the main person, she's the one voting.
Pardon
Well, if the alternate and the main person go, can they both vote or just one?
No,
vote?
you
No.
will get everyone.
However, you could defer, we'll just decide.
I don't think that's not really what I was talking about. We have two people that are very interested in going.
And they should
We can
both
either
go.
have both, which our policy actually covers the expenses for that. As long as we don't have a third person that wants to go as an alternate, one of those 4 times a year.
I
And
always,
if-
yeah,
If
I've
that,
always felt that I get a fair bit out of it myself. I thought they had some great ideas that have not come through ASBA, but they've come through PPS.
and the year before was Trustee Owens was on, right?
Yes.
Well,
I just don't like spending them. That's,
Pardon me?
I just don't like spending the money for both of us to.
We're at an impasse, right? We have two people that want to be on the same committee. We could find a way to make this decision, right?
We have more left, like I printed more pages.
Yeah, if that's what you guys want to do, you want to vote, then we can do that for sure.
We just only sent both of them.
There's no provision for doing that, really. What it states is that we'll send the person that's assigned to the committee and an alternate can attend. So if Marie is the person that she was last year, Lacey went one as an alternate, right? Just to see what it was all about.
and loved it.
Yeah. The thing is, it's not cheap because it's 2 or 3 nights in a hotel and travel and
It's
wages.
that long.
Oh,
Well, it's,
yeah, it's like $3,000.
Edmonton or Calgary or something for sure.
So I'd
Could
rather
you-
either just be the rep or not be the rep.
Uh,
Personally, that's just how I.
yeah, yeah.
Are you voting?
Like,
Okay, or you could say, I'll do this, but I won't go to the other things, right? Like you
We'll
could
just-
choose.
We'll see who the rep is gonna be and then we'll just go from there. And then the other person can go as an alternate if they so want to.
Yeah,
So-
this is accepted.
Paul, you can, text me again. The choice is either Marie or Lacey to be the rep for PSBC.
Okay,
Thank you.
So you got all, now I kind of want to go. Well, that's, like, there must be something.
There was 7 ways.
No, mine is I either am we're all in on it or I'm out of it. So if I happen to be the one that goes, this will be it. I'll either accept it and move on or never. If that sounds horrible.
Did you find it worthwhile thing to go to though? Sounds like you kind of did.
No. I don't see their purpose yet. They still have to keep working. Like
Okay.
they need, and we're not alone in this. I know I'm not alone because I've had this conversation with lots of people.
So-
They really need to figure out their
role.
trajectory and
So-
Our membership is gonna come due
Public school
This
board
year?
council.
and
No, look
with
this
the
up.
PSBAA. And there's gonna be some discussion around it and that'll be a serious time when that happens.
Okay, so does Jeff go, do you go to these? Oh,
I haven't been, I mean, it's, lots of times there are meetings, so superintendents oftentimes go with, the trustees to ASBA or PSBAA. I did go once on Adam's behalf, in Calgary, but I haven't gone back since. But now I haven't gone to a lot of stuff for several different reasons. One, there's the cost. 2, there's the time cost as well, because there's lots of things on the ground operation. And that said, if the chair or the board felt that I needed to accompany them to an event, I obviously would go because that's part of my job. But I've generally not gone to events when I don't have to, not because I'm not interested, but because there's lots of stuff to do on the ground. And whenever you're out of the building, business gets slowed down because people want you to sign something, you need you to read something, and there's only so much you can do online. So, in the past, when people traveled, superintendents traveled, what gets left on the ground here is a backlog of stuff for when that person gets back, right? Sometimes.
So the vote is in. Our rep on the PSBC is Trustee Dick.
Thank you.
12, Red Earth Creek Community Library Joint Use, Trustee Dick. 13, Rural Caucus Committee External Committee, Trustee Giesbrecht, with Trustee Shabilsky as being the alternate. 14, Kiva
If you don't.
Community
want-
Representative.
Okay, hold it. Wanda would like to
I
take
would
my
like to be
place
on Rural
as the
Caucus.
alternate on Rural Caucus.
Yeah, I love Rural Caucus.
Really?
I
Okay,
do.
awesome.
So you want to be the,
Oh
The
my
main?
gosh.
for it?
Oh, I don't care, sure. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
I really haven't done a whole lot with it besides sharing emails and,
Oh,
I mean, I enjoy going to their meetings, but I
Oh.
don't go to other meetings anyway,
Yeah.
but, if you have a unit. it'll be-
I'll do it this year and maybe,
And I can stay on as alternate.
You'll be the alternate? That works out really great. Then you can kind of pass on to Trustee Lauren.
like zero. Oh, okay.
Good
Okay,
meeting.
so it's gonna be Trustee Lauren is gonna be the main rep on Rural Caucus, and Trustee Giesbrecht is gonna be the alternate. Kiva Committee Representative, Trustee Buchinski. The Town of Peeps River Joint Use, one alternate, one trustee.
Oh, I was on that last year. I'm sure I was.
Well, we didn't have the joint use finished up until just today, right?
Oh, okay. Well, I went to a joint use.
Yeah.
And we just made a motion to approve that today in the meeting, the regular meeting today. So now going forward, we actually have a committee. So
Oh, I see.
Did you want-
Okay.
did
So
you
what
want-
I attended last time was not really bona fide.
it was creating the document
Oh.
to go forward,
Gotcha.
right?
Did you want to put your name forward for that committee then?
Sure, yeah, I will.
I mean, you're meeting probably once a year,
Yes.
Once or twice.
Yeah.
and an alternate for that would be
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trustee Dick. Worsley and District Agricultural Society Recreation Committee Joint Use.
Do
Trustee
I
Giesbrecht.
contact somebody? I think we had a conversation. before.
Yeah, if you know who to contact, if it's the only name that I've ever heard in association with this is Rutgers. So
Agricultural Society Recreation Committee, so is that the Egg Society?
it's
and
the
Rec
exit.
Board?
It's all, I think it's all together.
I could ask someone.
That Red Earth Creek Community Library, they have never contacted.
We
I'll
haven't
meet up.
had a meeting. We haven't heard.
So that could
A
be.
couple of years now.
Yeah.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if I could just make a comment in relation to the question asked, do I attend these events? You know, one of the things I'll say is that the board, and I mean, this is the board's business. I mean, this is for you to consider, but when you look at the committees and the cost, time, money, and so on, at some point, the board is going to probably need to sit down and say, what value are we getting from all of these things? And is it worth it? And it's going to come down to dollars and cents eventually. It's one thing to attend events and you say, gee, that was a pretty good, yeah, that was pretty good. The next thing is, okay, how is it changing the work we do? And if it's not changing the work we do, then it's really not worth the money and effort we put into it. That's what I've settled on later in my career as I get to where I am now, that if we go to things, just because, okay, we walk away saying, well, that was a great experience. But yes, did it impact the work you do? Is it changing the trajectory of what we do? Are we becoming more effective or more efficient? And if not, then really what it begs the question is, do we attend? Do we actually go to it? And there will be times when you'll go and come back and you'll be pumped and you'll see, we'll make some changes in the work that we do. You'll find out that there's a new way of conducting meetings, or for me in my world, a way to move forward with some change initiatives and so on. Otherwise, at some point in time, like this year, you'll recall the board was in a situation where it had to find some money. We were short on the governance side of it for about $70,000. There was a decision made whereby the board said, hey, well, we will do this much. And then we found the rest of it. And so, and I'll just say one other thing. So in this budget, Rhonda and I gave up our PD. I have in my contract somewhere that the board said they will pay me a cover up to a certain amount. I don't know what it is, say $5,000 a year in PD. I gave that up this year as a contribution to the budget piece. So I think it's incumbent upon the board, if I could be so bold as to state it, going to the things for the sake of going to them sort of is long since gone. That was in a former era, a former time when money was not an obstacle. Moving forward, this board is going to need to continue to give consideration to what's the value in it, and is the value worth the cost? I'll say one other thing, and this is not my business, but I've observed it. ASBA Zone 1 meetings, once every month, I would say hands down, that needs to be totally rethought and revamped. What comes out of ASBA Zone 1 meetings? And they're costly. And I had a superintendent reach out to me the other day and said, hey, are you going to all of these meetings? Because I hardly have enough time to sleep. And I said, no, I'm not. I don't go to all of these meetings. I go to the meetings that the board chair asked me to go to. But and I said this to the superintendent, in an ideal world, 80% of your time as superintendent is on operations, 20% supporting governance. And when it, rough rule of thumb, but if you're 80% supporting governance and 20% operations, something is amiss. And so I just throw that out there. I've gone to lots of events that were, oh, gee, that wasn't that bad. I sort of enjoyed that. I come back and it changes nothing in my world. That era, unless something changes funding wise, is not sustainable for us at this juncture moving forward. So just throw that out.
So, just on that thought there, I know that when I went to the last PSBC meeting, that I had brought back the idea that someone, that Fort McMurray was doing with their webpage, was they have that in almost every language in the world. You can register your child on the website or whatever to attend schools and whatnot in any language. I had brought that back to the board, but I don't think there's been any movement. So that's the thing. If we go to stuff and we bring back ideas, they should be discussed in good whatever.
So Marie,
and decided on.
so Marie, lunchtime today.
Yeah, we just did a demo on that where I changed the language of our website
To Icelandic.
to Icelandic. I don't know if you were
So
there, but we have the same thing on our
Kristen-
website.
Also, you have it in all different languages?
yeah, so I think you were on your phone there because I said, remember we said for older people and Kristen was, I said, hey, Kristen, put that one up because that applies to me. And
Well, thank you very much for
so
doing that.
right before that, she went into the Icelandic, or right after, and we couldn't get it out of there. I would say this as well. As important as that is, if it costs $5,000 to attend that meeting, that's a poor use of money.
But I mean, that was just one thing I brought
I know,
back
I know.
to you guys that affected you
Yeah,
guys.
I
There's
know.
other stuff that affects
Yeah.
us as trustees.
But-
of those
yeah.
meetings.
I think that this board, after being through the budget presentations that we were, are well aware that we've got some fiscal responsibilities and some financial things to look at. And my intentions over the next year is to make sure that we do that for sure. And when we're going out to conferences and we're going out to the PSDC, we've got to be getting some stuff for sure. And I mean, a lot of it for me, whether the presentations are great or they're not great, it's the fellowship and the time that I get to spend with other trustees, learning from folks that have been doing it maybe wrong for 20 years, and I can pick that up, or doing some things that I think that this board we need to do as well. So we understand that in the next year there's some stuff to be looked at for sure. I don't want to be here a whole lot longer. So advocacy policy 2. I'm not sure what this attachment is.
Can we get a motion for
We get a
the board
motion to-
representatives?
To accept the representatives as voted on.
So moved.
Trustee Dick, all in favor?
I'm in favor.
To the motion about accepting the board committee, so did that motion include to remove the couple committees?
3 committees were removed. So this next piece, the attachment, not sure what we're doing there. Policy 2,
Just the chamber meetings.
what's that, sorry? Oh, okay, so there's 2 attachments, right?
So I'm trying to attach the policy it's related to so that if you have questions, it's right there.
Okay, yeah, no, sorry, Chris, yeah. There's 2 attachments. I will go to the bottom and automatically. So advocacy, Chamber of Commerce meetings. We're looking for people to go to these meetings?
Yeah, we do.
I don't find value.
I quit going to the one
Yeah.
in Fairview, but
And I just went to you asked me to go to the awards dinner. I went. Which, you know, but I don't charge you guys.
you
I
don't
tend
like,
not to charge you guys if I'm going for something at school.
yeah, I mean, it's
That's
a
just
free
one-
dinner, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't charge you that.
So I guess,
But, yeah,
so I guess, Mr. Chair, there's 2 focuses there. One, who's going to represent on the committees at the meetings, or 2, is the board going to continue to go into them because they're of value or, you know?
Well, I think that, where do we have chamber? Sorry.
Yeah, maybe this is the advocacy that we've been doing, but we do have an advocacy committee. So maybe this is a conversation of the advocacy committee and they can report back to the board with a recommendation on moving forward. Does that work?
Sure, that works for me.
Yeah.
I know anytime
Absolutely.
I've went to the chamber meetings, I've always brought a report back on what was discussed at the chamber.
So who's on the advocacy committee this year? Got it.
see, I would want to
Marie,
go
are
and
you
get
still on
them
there?
to stuff for our
I know,
school.
maybe I stepped down, I can't remember.
Well, I don't know.
I think myself, Wanda, and Janet.
Okay. So this will be on your plate
Yes.
then, the advocacy committee?
That makes good sense.
Is that right?
I see, yeah, that makes good sense that the committee would look at that.
So will anybody be attending the chamber meetings then, Peter?
Well, that'll be up to the advocacy committee, right? They'll sit and talk about it and then we'll go from there. And I say that because I've gone to a couple of the committee meetings in Fairview, or the chamber meetings in Fairview, and it was, because I didn't charge for them. It was a waste of my time, right? If I'd have charged for them, it would have been a waste of the board's finances. But if the advocacy committee thinks that there's some value there, then they'll assign people to them.
Yeah, I think that was decided by a board a long time ago and it's been carried on. So maybe it's worth a discussion. That's all I.
Peter does talk quite often about what's coming up, especially nuclear and stuff like that.
Well, we are members. Does that cost us money? I would assume to be
Yes.
chamber members, right?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is that when the advocacy committee gets together, they can decide whether we're going to continue to be members or not. And if we still continue to be members, then we can decide whether we're going to attend the meetings. I mean, if we're members and there's a meeting comes up, it just, oh my goodness, I would just love to go there and do that. We can go there. It doesn't cost the school division anything if I don't put my time in, right?
So how much does it cost to be a member of the chamber?
They're all probably different.
Yeah, they're all a little bit different between like 150 to 250 around there.
That's
Yeah.
probably some value in being a member, because if there's ever time it comes up that you need to vote on some controversial issue, it'd be nice to be able to vote on it. That'll be the advocacy committee's work moving forward. Do we have any other work?
Number
Just the rest
7.
of the
Pardon me?
advocacy. Where we get to talk to joint municipality.
The other items on that list are all of the things that we do. So Trustee Buchinski's right, like joint municipalities, that's the tentative date for that meeting if we're going to do it. And the joint meeting with Holy Family, and that'll be determined. And then community engagement, and again, community engagement will be a discussion on what that looks like.
And this is all trustees are involved in this, so
Yeah.
there's no need to choose.
So basically what you just decided, or what the conversation was a moment ago, is that the advocacy committee would look at all of these and come back with recommendations around Chamber of Commerce meetings. Are we going to continue to, board going to continue to be members and participate in meetings? Joint municipalities meeting, are we going to continue to go ahead with those or not? And you come back with recommendations around that, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. Well, I thought we were done with the page and we are now, right? The advocacy committee, you guys figured you know what we're doing now, or you know what we're
I
asking
think
for?
so, yeah.
Oh, so you're on that too?
Yeah.
He is, oh, yourself, okay.
I think.
So when you folks meet, then you'll decide on these 5 things here, right? Yeah. That makes sense. Is that what you wanted? You said that was.
Well, I thought we were gonna talk about if advocacy.
Any other business for the meeting today?
No, I'm good.
We have a motion to adjourn. Trustee Shabelski, all in favor?
In favor.
Second, Paul?